So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
Like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiva grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio. On the 420 radio show.
Yeah. Sing it, Marcel. I know you want to. We were having so much fun, I just keyed everything up early.
Yeah, we're like 8 minutes early. Nobody even knows we're on.
Yeah, oh, sure. Wow. Yeah, everything just goes blacka. Look at
when you're high, you're always on.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a perpetual state.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Preserve neuroplasticity.
Ross.
That's his name.
I'm just wondering if he left us or not.
Ross left because
left the building.
We went live too early for him. He wasn't prepared.
Hey, you know what? If I unmute my mic, you guys hear me a lot better.
Yeah,
this is true. So, Dog Brains is a cross between Chemdog and Brainstorm Haze.
Chemdog and Brainstorm Haze.
I've never heard of either.
Wow.
Chemdog I have. Brainstorm Haze. Sounds like a sativa.
Yep.
Huh. Anyways.
Chem Fire Shatter.
This is mostly sativa because that's all I grow to smoke is mostly sativas.
I was going to say Chemdog's sativa too, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you?
So you got double whammy sativa.
You just made this, Marcel?
Holy, keep me awake all night and don't allow me to sit down and do nothing.
Marcel?
Well, it goes with the chocolate ice cream and the coffee. Yeah. Yes.
So you made this today?
Yes, sir.
Yourself? You made this yourself?
Sounds like sample number 2 to me.
Or what?
Pardon me?
Did you make it yourself?
The shatter? Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, cool.
And the ice cream. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty self-sufficient.
The award-winning ice cream.
So we started early and not everybody was here yet, but I don't care because we were having fun. we're all really medicated, and tonight this is the 420 radio show. By the way, hi, how are you? I'm here with regulars Marcel and Chris and Ross. Why are you
so early?
And Lori will be along, I think. And Al Graham is here from the Pace Radio Show. And Kim Cooper is here from the Pace Radio Show. And Debbie Stilts-Giffen will be here from the Pace Radio Show as well. So the ratios are good. There's still more of us than them. So
too scared to listen.
That's right. And today... This show
that means I have to add more people to the radio show.
That's right, you do. This show is... Okay, Al, I'm trying to... This is my show. Shut up, Al.
Pull the claws back
I'm defending my numbers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I made a little thing. I made a thing telling people what this show is all about. 2016. A year in review. There you go. Nobody laughed, nothing. It's like squeaky birds going by. Squeak, squeak.
I laughed the first time.
Lori's here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got one more. Who are we missing?
Debbie.
Oh, Debbie. Yeah.
Debbie said she'd be a few minutes late, and since we're early, it's going to seem like it's longer before she gets here.
Yeah. That happens when you start early.
It's a whole time zone thing. Yeah, I was just...
You know what? She realized that, hey, there's 4 minutes before the show. I got enough time for a couple dabs.
Ooh, she's going to be medicated, too. Now,
I hope she's medicated.
Before Deb, if you're listening, Deb, cover your ears. before she comes in here, let's see how long it takes us to get her to swear. Okay, Chris, you on it?
Does she swear?
No, she doesn't.
Oh yes, she does. She's sworn on the show before. She has. I get her to do it now and then. What's that?
She swears at me a lot.
Well, then you're the man for the job.
It's just because it's you, Chris. We all swear at you, actually.
So we're gonna be sitting around this evening, yapping about crap that happened this year, 2016. If you're not doing anything and you want to, come and do dabs with us, come on into the chat room at 420radio.ca or lifestyleradio.net.
Yes, nail it for you.
We share.
Yeah, we share. Come and blow in our face. Let's all hotbox together.
And friends with weed are friends indeed.
And we're not calling it weed anymore. Sorry, Marcel.
Oh, fuck.
Politically correct now. We've got to
No,
use
okay.
the right word.
So,
The
what
devil's
rhymes with
lettuce.
Cannabis.
Cannabis sativa it is.
There you go.
Hey, listen, if the government can call it cannabis, I
Yes.
think
can.
maybe we can.
That's
Yeah,
only that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We're all yelling at the mainstream medias for calling us pot shops and everything else. Well, we're going to have to nip it in the bud ourselves, right?
You know what?
I got no problem with the word pot. What's wrong with the word? The only one I don't want to hear is marijuana and dope.
How many of you have had conversations?
I'm with Chris. Those are the only two words that offend me.
How many of you have had? Hello, guys.
Every one of you guys must have a nickname you grew up with. I mean, what the hell? It's fine.
I always called it pot, marijuana, but I call it, 90% of the time I call it cannabis, but yeah, I call it marijuana.
We used weed a lot. Weed was thrown out.
Yeah, weed was our
I
thing.
never used the words, but
I check out grass every once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we're all guilty of using them, and we've all used them in the past and everything. I just think
And now
that
you're
we're
grown
really, we're growing up and we're getting more educated, and I think the push for
Guilty
legalization.
implies wrongdoing. I plead not guilty.
I think with all the push of legalization and politically correctness, we're asking for mainstream media to not be condescending about the medication.
When you call Health Canada, what do they call it? Ross, you've had many conversations with them.
They're calling it cannabis now pretty regularly.
Yeah.
People you talk to on the phone, they say cannabis. But if you read through the regulations, there's still a lot of the marijuana with an H on there.
Really? They haven't even changed that.
It's like they can use either or freely, and it's odd the way they switch it up.
I think at one point in the regulations, they actually made a statement about marijuana with a J, marijuana with an H, and cannabis all being the same thing. For intents and purposes of reading this document, these words all mean the same.
Oh, wow.
Well, I know I was thrilled to death when I saw what the ACMPR came out with the word cannabis instead of the word marijuana spelled with the H. Marijuana with the H is so derogatory, and it's great to see that the government is taking that step to make the change.
I heard it explained somewhere where when they used it with an H, it meant it was medicinal, and when it's with a J, it was recreational. I don't know what that means or not.
I see articles. I see articles all the time where it says medical marijuana is okay, or like medical marijuana is stronger than cannabis. Like,
yeah. Hemp's not marijuana either.
It's like when have you seen a medical marijuana plant? I've never seen one. They're all just marijuana plants. They're all cannabis plants. They're all the same.
That's right.
It's not medical.
That's right.
That's how you use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
and THC counts can be very low in medical marijuana as well. That's available from the LPs. I mean, they're as low as
I got news for you though. Up until recently, all that medical marijuana that you've been getting from dispensaries has been grown by pot growers.
Yeah.
No, say say it's not so.
No.
Oh.
I'm so disillusioned.
Oh no, save the
What do
children.
we do?
Yeah,
Jesus.
save the children.
The bodies are piling up in front of children's bodies piled in front of dispensaries. Oh my God.
Oh, gee. Yeah.
I know when I walk around.
I've seen a few people kind of say, yeah, I might have said something about that. I'm really sorry I ever said that.
Well, what about all the people that are double talking?
For the children?
What about all
We're on
those?
time now.
What about all those people who are double talking now about everything they've said since the election? You know, they're like, "Oh, I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry."
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know what? Obviously, Trudeau is a big liar, right? He's said one thing and he's doing another, and you know what? That's not true.
He didn't.
He's saying the same thing over and over and again.
Yeah, it's all they've been
They're
saying.
going to legalize, regulate, and restrict access to marijuana. You know, we can start there because this is kind of corresponding with around the end of last year, which is, December, like where we are now. This is when this was really starting to be put forth. They were now in government.
Yeah.
And they're going, and, they're saying prohibition does not work, arresting and prosecuting for offenses bogs down the criminal justice system. They want to get out organized crime and take it away so that they can keep it out of the hands of children. And they're going to more strictly punish people who operate outside of the regulatory framework. Tell me if all these things are familiar, because I think they all are. And he has been saying that.
Everybody has been saying that over and over
the
again.
Election,
Yeah.
and he's still saying it today.
It's like they pick up the needle and they put it up again at the beginning of the record, and when they're done, they pick up the needle and they put it up on the beginning of the record again.
But my point is, like it or not, that's what he's been saying, and that doesn't mean that I agree with what he's saying. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. But that is what he's been saying, and for some reason, other people have been hearing something else. For some reason, and they're saying, "Oh, he's a liar," and he's, but no, he's been saying the same thing. I don't. If you guys,
I agree.
So since we're,
I agree with that to a point, because he did take a stand when he was out west that day, and he did say that he supported dispensaries.
Yeah.
So his change in stance on dispensaries, that is a 360 for sure. He was supporting them in the beginning, and he isn't anymore. He
did make that statement at that one. I would think it was in Manitoba. It was the same.
I just heard it.
That he got thumped on the chest by somebody that I think we all know, and was screamed at, like literally in his face, and kind of sheepishly said, okay, dispensaries should be allowed to operate or something along those lines. But,
and he said,
I don't even. Yeah, but I don't even think. At that point, he was still early on. He hadn't come up with this mantra yet, and he didn't. I don't even think at that point he ever thought he was going to be the next prime minister. Personally,
the CBC article that I read on about it, there was no quote from him within the article, but it made you believe that he supported the dispensary model.
Yeah. So he did. I don't know if that's a lie or if he was just putting out feelers, and that was a feeler that he put out there that he had to walk back on. I guess.
Well, one thing that he's done that no prime ministers did before. A year ago, actually, it was like 6 days difference here. It was in the throne speech.
Yes.
Yep.
And his mandate letters to all the different ministers.
Mandate letters.
Yeah. And I think when he made the statement about the dispensaries and everything, and he was on board with dispensaries, I think he was speaking from the heart at that point, and that is actually what he truly believes. And now the 360 is more of a policy position.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. I think he was speaking more from the heart, and that in some ways encourages.
I think he was speaking from the heart at that point, and that is actually.
Oops, sorry. Never mind. Just keep going and doing. Never mind. There's nothing going on over here. Just keep going.
It encourages me. It encouraged me a little bit because I know, like for one thing, his mother has been smoking cannabis for 50 years.
Yeah,
she's
she
been
also
arrested.
she also blames
charged
it for her mental
with
health
possession
issues, Marcia. Ross.
She has been, a real influence on him, along with his liberal-minded father. And I think that really deep down inside, I think he does get it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of still out there.
Who cares if he speaks from the heart if he has no spine?
That's right. And that's
but
the
we don't know.
problem,
We don't
the
know.
policy.
But he doesn't. We don't know if he has a spine yet. Number one, because we haven't even seen the task force report, which is due out in a couple of weeks, right?
No,
and then,
John,
and we haven't seen the legislation, and we haven't seen what's come out yet. So I mean, I it's hard to say he's spineless or has done this or hasn't done that until you actually see that legislation.
I looked
understand what it means, and then it's it's going to be enacted. Now you're ready to tear a strip off his ass, and I'll be the first one in line.
I'm looking in my crystal
strip.
ball, and it's not green.
I gotta tell you, all it's like the 8-ball. All signs point to a shit show.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, his speech that he came out with there when he said, enforce the law and all these dispensaries should be busted.
Tapping his finger on the desk.
Yeah, that kind of to me spoke volumes of his position now.
That's where they went wrong. They should have had some form of decriminalization, like the NDP was calling for that, and others were as well.
And what about all of these the major cases?
So people aren't getting arrested all the time.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
And the major cases such as murder and rape and stuff like this that are now being tossed out of court because of undue process to the criminal system. And that is largely due to the backlog of cannabis offenses that are being seen in the court.
Well, one good thing that did happen this week is Eddie Lepp was out, let out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so was it 8 years?
8 years, yeah. So congratulations, Eddie. I wish I had some applause, but I don't. Thank you. Hello, Debbie.
I got a free Eddie Lepp song.
Really?
Do you? Send it to me, Al, and we'll play it.
You for free?
Send it to me, Al, and we'll play it.
Okay, I'll see if I can find it here.
All right.
In the meantime,
just put it in your folder.
Hey, Debbie.
You need to turn yourself up a little bit there, please, Deb. As she mutes. Hi, how are you?
There she is. Nope, she's gone again.
Yep. She's gonna.
Come on, Debbie, get your shit together.
There she is. Hold on. Now Ross is muted. Now Lori's muted, and
these people just can't fucking work together.
Dog barking in the background.
You try and put two shows together, and this is what you get.
Pandemonium.
Mic issues again.
We'll kick Mike in the ass and keep going.
It only, Deb, I got to say that only happens on my show when you're on, though. It never happens when you're doing your show.
Actually, it was Kim that dropped out. Kim had problems in the last show.
Yeah.
That was last show I dropped out for a few minutes.
So what's new out your way there, Deb?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head other than winter's arrived with a vengeance, and we had a wonderful Christmas bazaar and educational seminar last weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah, Howell, I'm glad that went well, eh?
Extremely well. Very, very well attended. We had a number of vendors, and everyone had a blast.
Awesome.
We've been kind of talking about the past year's events and, everything that's transpired. We kind of touched on Trudeau a little bit and what he promised in the election and, where we are now or where we were, say, maybe in January, February when dispensaries started opening up, right? And I think, wasn't that about when the first raids started too? Was somebody correct me if I'm wrong. When did the raids actually start, like in Toronto?
It was
the big raids. It was
the day before Lyft started.
Yes, exactly.
It was the day before Lyft.
time frame, wasn't
Yeah.
it? In May.
While all the LPs were in speaking on a stage to people who paid thousands or hundreds of dollars to get in, the Metro Toronto Police Force was raiding pretty much. Well, they did like 42.
Yeah, it was May 26th.
It was in one day they did a lot.
But right from like the New Year, like from January, and I mean that's where we're kind of starting. And when Trudeau kind of finally took the reins in January, everybody kind of saw it like a green light. I think, like, cannabis is open season, and we're all gonna make some money and do some
time
business.
to go. Yeah.
And that was when it all kind of started building, and all these dispensaries started opening, right?
And some people looked at it as well that their voices weren't being heard, and their side of the story, the way that they would like it, wasn't being put up there. So they've gone and say, hey, we can do it this way.
We can look at it that way. No matter what we care about, no matter what we say or care that is going to happen, they're going to make happen whatever they want, and it's going to take some more court cases to get it our way.
It is. And speaking of court cases, also, back in last January, February, the Allard hearing was over.
And nobody
knew, what the judge was going to rule. We were all waiting for that ruling.
Do we know now? Has he said anything yet?
Oh, well, yeah. Obviously, we have the ACMPR. we won.
Okay, now hold on a minute. Hold on. Yes, we have the ACMPR. We won, but he has not said anything.
The injunction.
Yes.
No, he hasn't.
He's not going to say anything on the injunction until either Conroy or Health Canada, the Crown, goes in and says,
"Hey, what's up?
We want to remove the injunction."
But
yeah, that's right. Until that point, the injunction stands. Everything stays the same. You're grandfathered in.
I think the person that goes in and asks that question or presents that is the one that everybody's going to want to shoot.
You know what, though? I don't think it's anybody going to be asking that question.
Well,
what's going to happen is it's up to Justice Phelan to decide when his remedy has been met. And I think he's waiting personally. I think he's waiting until he sees what happens with legalization, because medicinal and recreational are all supposed to be rolled into this one piece of legislation. And I think he's waiting to see what happens when that's passed. And then he's going to make his final decision on whether or not his remedy's been met.
Exactly.
Then he will decide to lift the injunction. Like, no, people can ask him to lift it, but it's only him that's going to decide what, if, and when.
And all the criteria have to be met as well. I mean, and the whole rolling in together of the non-medicinal and the medicinal system into one unit is never going to satisfy the medicinal community.
No. But at the same time, if Health Canada were to say, okay, we've caught up with new applications, we can now start doing all of those ones from the injunction, let's get the injunction lifted. Conroy can still go in and argue not to lift the injunction.
Yes, he can.
Because if not all of the aspects of the trial were met with the ACMPR, which they weren't, then there's grounds for that.
And they even themselves, the government themselves, say the ACMPR is a temporary measurement. That, like Ross said, it's all going to be rolled into, they're talking about rolling it into one unit, non-medicinal and medicinal uses alike, all under the same policy. That is never going to work in the medicinal world.
Well, it's going to be under the same. Sorry, go ahead.
Go after a Washington state model.
Oh, God, no, please don't do that. No.
It's either that or
that's what concerns me.
You know what the Washington state did not have a superior court, federal superior court ruling, guiding them in their disastrous decision to legalize in in quotation marks, cannabis. But we do have that. And when it is rolled into that package of legislation, I personally think there's still going to be a medicinal and a recreational separation, and that separation on the medicinal side still has to meet that court ruling. And like I said, that's why he hasn't lifted the injunction yet, and why he's not going to until he sees that. And I honestly think that we're going to be a lot more liberal on, and I don't mean that in a political sense, I mean in a philosophical sense, where we're going to be more generous with medicinal cannabis as a country than, say, a Washington state is as a state, because they have to. They have no choice.
Yeah. And in the medicinal world, for anybody that's using cannabis as a medicine, I mean, there should be no interference whatsoever between government and your doctor. Your doctor and you are the ones that come to the terms of what it is that you require for medication. Government has no place in there. None at all.
No.
No. See how many perks you're on.
That's right.
Exactly. It's autonomy of your health between you and your doctor. The government should not be between those two. No.
And if the doctor's being investigated for something, that's on the doctor. That's not on the patient.
That's correct.
Right.
But then it goes back to even recreational use is medicinal.
Well, that's what I've been saying for years. Isn't all use medicinal? I mean, no matter what your reasons are for using it, you're healing your body. So
right.
Hard enough
therefore it's medicinal.
People to get it legally.
That's right.
Yep. And we see what cannabinoid deficiencies do. You just have to look at the states, and there's all these people that have them severely.
Trump, you get that's severe
cannabinoid deficiency going on there, right there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have to say, regarding that government stepping in and stuff, I wasn't here last week, but I will speak to what I did on the 1st of December. A veterans group approached me and asked me to help them with the press conference down on Parliament Hill after Kent Air came out and made the announcement about limiting the veterans' reimbursable cannabis expense to $8.50 a gram and 3 grams a day. So I went and helped my buddy Clayton to put on a press conference, and we had Chris Anderson, who's a veteran and a medic, accompanying us, as well as a veteran who is the spouse of an injured soldier also. And her 6-minute address to where she just read a letter that she had written to Kent Air. And the reason she was there is because I'd seen her letter on Facebook. And I sent her a message and said, can I share that with the media? And she said yes. So when I knew that we were going in, I cleared it with Clayton. I said, can we invite her? And the last time I looked, it had something like 350,000 views in the global news thing.
Very cool.
So I think that's yeah. We could not have. I never could have anticipated the extent to which that thing was shared and viewed, and oh my gosh.
I saw it. I've got it up on my wall as well, and on my various social media outlets. She gave quite the speech. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was very moving. There's no doubt about it. I don't see how anybody, and I know that the politicians must have watched it, and nobody could have watched that without being moved.
No, well, I have to say I was a little shocked because we really didn't expect there to be any media in the room. We had been told, like, the press secretary met us when we came in and escorted us all the way through the process, and he basically warned us that Jane Philpott had a press conference upstairs in the foyer or the rotund, whatever that big area upstairs is, at 11 o'clock, the same time that we had scheduled. So we really didn't anticipate anybody being there. And walked in, and it was full of cameras. There were reporters, and we actually had a staffer from Minister Ayer's office there. who sat in. They have to actually ask for our special permission to allow a staffer to come in.
Wow, aren't you privileged? Grand Poobah let you come in, and that's something they haven't been doing very much of, isn't it? Like how many people have been allowed to actually consult? I mean, we had to bitch and complain and badger our way into submitting a proposal to Health Canada. Other people had $1,500 luncheons with politicians to push their agendas. What kind of bullshit is that? I mean, how do you guys feel about that crap?
I mean, I think it's a hats off to you guys for doing that and standing up and taking a stand and putting this together so well. And it got such great media coverage. I mean, kudos to you for that, for sure.
We do know there was a report out recently showing that some people had access to Bill Blair. Some of them were within our own cannabis community.
Yeah.
Abby Roach.
Saw that.
Some was good and some not so good, I suppose.
Yeah. But I'm sure some of you have seen that list that's been published and put out of all the people who are connected, the former politicians and people in law enforcement who are now connected to the LPs, and it's a monster one.
Eye-opening, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's a list that's grown really in the last year. We are talking about the last year, and really that list has been pretty much in the past year. That list has grown to where it is today.
And like in any of these kind of controversies, where government is trying to maintain control of something, like the old adage says, follow the money, right? And look at who's at the end of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
People who used to enforce prohibition are now, getting the benefits of legalization, of changing.
Well, they're raking in the money, and they're maintaining their control over monopoly with and presence that they had in the government.
That's where you get those other people who are saying, "Hey, our voices aren't being heard," and they're showing people how it can be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't see people running around Amsterdam going on about mental health issues and stuff because people can purchase a few grams at a lounge.
Yeah.
Coffee shop there, right? Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, the whole stance that they have is off the wall. It's nonsensical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's eight of us here right now, and I think between all of us, we've probably been smoking cannabis for like 250 years, and I'm not exaggerating. Okay, seriously, seriously. Okay, now all of us know a bunch of people who have also been smoking for a long time, so we've probably got a few thousand years worth of cannabis smoking and knowing people who've smoked it and used it over years, like since 1970, or some of us maybe before. How many of us have seen our friends or any of them become these zombie monsters that the government describes?
The only one I know is Chris.
Okay, Chris. I give you that one. But other than Chris.
Right?
Yeah, there's one in every bunch, right?
Exactly. The hell.
But there's crazy people. Like, what is it? 8% of the people, the population of Canada or the world is crazy. All right, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So them just happen to be consumers as well.
Yeah, exactly. It coincided with a crazy person smoked pot, so therefore the pot made him crazy, right?
And 78% of people make up statistics on the spot.
98%. Yeah.
I think that number might be low.
Well, throw one out, Al. We're just,
Okay, so realistically speaking, before I was disabled, almost everybody that I knew in a social and work environment, cannabis or cannabis products, 99% of those were productive members of society who had regular jobs, if not more than one, who went to work on a regular basis, paid their taxes, paid their rent, had homes and cars and all that other shit.
Yeah.
I worked.
How many people?
Years, really hard.
How many people in the world?
I smoke pot.
How many people in the world are sustained drinkers? Meaning they have to have a drink every couple of hours to get them through the day, and that's okay. In industry, in offices, the boss come on in for a snork there in the afternoon, right? But it's not okay.
That's a good point.
It's not okay for us to go out and have our medicine, let alone go out and recreate while we're on a break.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you how many times I went to lunch, to dinners, to things, and the booze was just everywhere. The president was there, the vice presidents, and all the managers, and they're all just getting drunk as hell. And I'm like, no, that's okay. I'll just have a water, or give me an orange juice, or give me a Coke, or something. And they're all calling, they're calling me a pussy and a wussy and all of this
because you're not keeping up in that. A friend of mine's wife was fired from Walmart, and I say that because it's true, because during her pee test, she showed cannabis, THC, in her pee test, and they don't allow that. She doesn't smoke.
Oh my God,
she doesn't smoke. Hold on. She doesn't smoke. Okay, hold on. She doesn't smoke. It was secondhand smoke from her husband who smokes.
So secondhand.
Walmart is doing a piss test?
In the States.
Wow.
Yeah,
in the States.
In the States, they test everybody. Apparently, I mean, I'm
That's
not.
pretty highfalutin for Walmart,
Yeah,
isn't it?
well. Now watch, I'm going to get a big boo-boo in my mail tomorrow. No more discounts at Walmart for you. You're not allowed to look at our catalogs anymore.
Benefit or what?
I don't know. They also give you a stupid test, and if you pass the stupid test, you get hired. But it doesn't mean you have to be smart. You have to be stupid.
That's right. That's right. Or too high. No, you can't work here.
Yeah.
No. It's okay if you're stupid. Just don't get high.
And on that note,
regarding a spouse who consumes, I do have an anecdotal story where somebody went for a job driving a transport truck. And during the interview, they were asked, if we give you a drug test, what will it show? And they said cannabis.
Yeah.
And the guy went, oh, really? And he said, yeah, my wife has a license. And they thanked him for his honesty and gave him the job anyway.
Wow. That doesn't usually happen.
No, that doesn't happen hardly.
If I owned a business, I would openly hire somebody who used or not.
There are places where, people actually are based in reality.
In reality, I guess I've done just that. Everybody here uses cannabis. So.
Yep. How close are we to break? Should we?
I think we're going to take one.
The year in review, or should we go to break?
We're going to go to break, and we're going to listen to.
Is that a prerequisite for a job with you?
Yes.
Must stone.
Yeah, must smoke cannabis.
It's not a prerequisite, but it helps.
It helps. Yeah. So Al found the song "Free Eddie Lepp" by Jet Baker, and we're going to listen to that. And if you're not in the chat room, come on in and say hi and join the conversation. This is the 420 Radio Show. Catch us at 420radio.ca and lifestyleradio.net. We'll be right back. 420radio.ca and lifestyle.
This is Bubbles from the trailer park, and they're playing some fucking excellent music on lifestyleradio.ca. I hope I didn't sound too nervous there.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
This is a story about a cannabis freedom fighter. His name is Eddie Lepp. I've had the pleasure of meeting Eddie and interviewing him many times in Amsterdam at the Cannabis Cup. Eddie is always a great guest on my Wake and Bake show because he's larger than life. It was a Monday, 2009, the 18th of May. It was a sad day when they heard the judge say 10 years in prison was her decision to imprison Mr. Eddie Lepp because of his garden of cannabis medicine for sick people. What the heck? I can't believe it. For the sacrament of weed, for the medicine of patients in need. I can't believe it. 10 years incarceration for helping people get their medication. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. So like I said, Eddie is larger than life. He's got his own style. He's kind of tough looking, kind of gruff, but he's a teddy bear, man. Yeah, he can be a smart ass, and he can be really funny too. And he has a wife, and he has a life. And as they say, he's not a spring chicken. He's not in the top health. In his words, he says his prison sentence will be his death. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Even the ruling judge said, I think that this amount of time is excessive, but it's not up to me. So that means it's up to us people, you and me. We need to get all of our friends together, and we need to help Eddie Lepp. Go to eddielepp.com. You can find the latest update. You can donate to Eddie's legal fund, and together we can make a difference. We need to reform the cannabis laws so that this doesn't happen. We need to legalize the weed. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Free Eddie, free Eddie, free Eddie Lepp. He's a freedom fighter for the rights of everybody else. Did I mention that Eddie's got his own style and he's larger than life? The dude had 32,000 cannabis plants growing in plain sight. That's a lot of medicine, man. What are all the patients who needed the medicine doing now?
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
You need to change that.
You'll have
You know,
results that
apparently Ross
A vowel
has
would be nice,
Ross
but yeah,
has the
whatever.
drip, apparently, and that's what he tells people in his commercial, that he has the drip.
He's got the drip.
Yep.
The drip system.
Oh,
You should see a doctor about that.
Jesus.
It's a new dance, baby. You got to see it.
The
You want me to
drip?
pose?
Is it,
You want
I
me
gotta
to-
go to the bathroom. I gotta go to the bathroom. I need a depend.
I'm going to come up. Hey, that's a perfect segue for my joke. I'm going to come up with a new invention. It's an adult diaper, and when you go tinkle, the front of it turns into a big pot leaf.
What? Why?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
Whoa, what? Why? What's the point? I'm trying to understand. Work with me here. Make me
For
understand.
those who can't tell whether or not they're wet,
Yeah. There you go.
Or
Why
to
does have a
advertise
siren go off?
or to advertise to everybody that you just pissed yourself.
Shut up.
I know you
That's
don't.
very rude, man.
Yeah.
You just made fun, Marcel. You just made fun of a whole bunch of incontinent people.
Oh, bought leaf or not, you could probably sell them in the front of a casino. Oh yeah, you wouldn't believe how many people. Yeah, those people at the slot machines have to have those.
Yeah, they don't like to leave those slot machines.
Oh God.
No.
Just say that it's say that it's a lucky charm, and you'll sell thousands of it.
If you're willing to piss yourself to keep on gambling, you might have a problem.
Yeah.
Good point.
With some problems, believe me. There was a lady when I was out at the Stampede working. They had to remove her from the building because she had a baby in a backpack.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah, okay.
That's not funny. That's not really funny, right?
As long as the baby was asleep, she was okay. And then it was once the baby started actually moving, somebody noticed the backpack wiggling around and reported it. And yeah.
And it had a little slot machine in there, and it was
Wow.
a little handle.
People suck. I hate
Takes
people.
all
I hate
kinds,
people.
eh?
I hate people.
I know, me too.
Oh God, it's okay.
Yeah,
The kid had a deck of cards to play with.
I used to see people lined up at 11 o'clock in the morning waiting for the doors to open to go and give their money away. Like, ooh, what? Huh?
Would you hear the latest about people running up $1 million debts where they actually take out loans from the casino, and then they end up paying it back at these huge interest rates, and they just keep pouring, and they keep giving them more. And one person was up to like $1 million, and it was just an ordinary some guy's wife, right, in a suburb somewhere. Who was going to Casino Rama. It was going to Casino Rama and ran up $1 million bill.
Oh, that's the place they had to start checking the people's trunks when they were going into the parking lot because they had a problem with children hanging out in the parking lot.
Oh, they've had so many things happen, and they're supposed to have these systems where people get banned, and they've got facial recognition stuff, and it's supposed to ring a bell if they try to come into the casino. But apparently nobody monitors it.
What a great system,
isn't it? Doesn't it remind you of all these other systems?
Yeah.
Are we on the air, by the way? Or
yeah.
Yes, we are.
They say the cannabis community has problems.
Really?
Let's focus our energies where it belongs here, people. There's obviously large issues that people are dealing with that nobody has any resources for. Let's focus our energies in that direction instead.
Did anybody see the picture, or it was a meme or something up? It was a photo of a Fisher Price little tyke bar set, where it was for like 4 and 5 year olds, and it was this little miniature bar with little bar stools. It was made by Fisher Price, and one kid was like posed as the bartender, and the other kids were there sitting on this, and they've got their glass in their hand, right? I don't know if it was like real or made up, but it sure looked like the real deal to me. I mean,
you can get baby bottles with Budweiser written on the side of them. So I mean, it's just marketing.
Yeah,
it's all
marketing. I know my parents let me get drunk for the first time when I was 12.
But that's not marketing for the children, right? I mean, come on, they're not marketing that to.
No, that was Ross's parents marketing for the children or for the child.
Well, that's how normalized alcohol has been for so long, right?
No, they wanted it for the videos of you.
There were no videos back then, Marcel. Black and white photos, were about all they had back then.
No, but like you were saying, I mean, if you think of the movies, how many times have you seen in an office somebody pull a bottle out of the drawer, or the doctor's office, or the police station, and have a drink?
Yeah,
it's made part of life. Now imagine if we didn't have the prohibition that took place. Would cannabis then be part of that life? It's only because of prohibition that it's not.
It's part of my life.
Yeah. And would alcohol be where it is now if cannabis had been that accepted all along? Because a lot of people make a choice between cannabis and alcohol. Not everybody.
One's legal.
Absolutely. I don't think alcohol would be as rampant today if cannabis didn't encounter prohibition back then. And I also don't think we'd have the wide use of plastics that we have today.
Yep, I agree with that totally.
We'd have a wide use of plastic, but they'd be biodegradable plastics.
Well, that's right. It'd all be hemp-based.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just imagine the milestones that could have taken place in the last 35 years, in the last 80 years. If with warrant for prohibition, science and technology, where could we actually be?
What have we lost?
Buildings would last more than 30 years.
What has been taken away from us, at the cost of this prohibition?
Well,
when you think about it, it boggles the mind.
In some cases, a life.
Millions,
You couldn't add it up.
millions of lives.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know I know at least 24 people that I can name off the top of my head that if they didn't have cannabis in their life the way they do now, they'd be dead. And Marcel is one of them.
Yeah, I'm one.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing when you stop to think about how in depth that it can go. Where the science could have taken us by now if it wasn't so restricted.
Well, you see, and that's the fucked up thing, Kim, because the science has already taken us there. It took us there 60 years ago.
Yeah, but the milestones that could have taken place through not having a prohibitionary attitude and having access to the plant and people actually using it in mainstream life as a normality. I mean, we globally, would be, wow.
And that's what's happening now, and that's what's going to continue to happen. There's really, I mean, no matter what happens from this point on, there's no going back. Okay, and it baffles me when I read these articles. Oh, the cannabis community is going to be in tough times soon because of something somebody's doing that they're not really doing because it's not really going to affect anybody. And then you get a fake story, and then people go crazy, and this is happening, and then you get a media blitz about this subject and that subject when it doesn't have anything to do with fuck all. Right?
Yep.
But I think people are going to have a rude awakening when legalization comes out, because I don't think it's going to be what everybody was expecting.
It's not. It's never going to please everybody. There's always going to be somebody who it's not good enough for.
Yep.
But the reality of it is
exactly what Trudeau said it's going to be.
No, but the reality of it is it will be what it is, and people will make it work for them if they need it bad enough.
Or they'll go around it.
Or they'll go around it. Yes.
Or they'll go around it, and that's what's going to happen. Because
and that's still making it work.
If he places a restriction, there's always going to be a black market.
Yeah. I guess
so. Absolutely. Yeah. The black market's not going anywhere. Not anytime soon.
It's never going to be taken out of the hands of kids, because as long as it's restricted, kids are going to want it and they'll pay for it.
How old was I when I got drunk the first time? I was 12.
I was probably that, and it was my mom's vodka.
The same can be said for booze, right? As long as it remains restricted for kids underage, they're going to want it and they're going to get it.
And you know, in 2016,
and even if you're only going to use it medicinally, let's say you get diagnosed with something, how long do you want to wait for it, or are you just going to go out and start it now while you get your paperwork going?
I would hope that they would just go out and start it now.
But there's a lot of people that wouldn't.
Because of the law, you know, and that's the perfect example is one of my cousins has very bad epilepsy. She's had it all her life. She has grand mal seizures several times a day, blah, 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 blah. And I have been talking over the years about cannabis, and my aunt's been really scared because she doesn't want to lose her job. She doesn't want to have her license pulled. She doesn't want this. She doesn't want that. But so hopefully, I mean, they're in New York State, so hopefully that will change soon. And then she'll have to not worry. But you shouldn't have to worry. You're right.
Legalized it. My parents are never going to use it because they don't care now.
Yeah.
They've already been appropriately scared to death.
Yeah.
No, and you know, people aren't just going to go running out there to try it and use it just because it's legal now. You know,
exactly. I don't know what they think. Oh, my parents not sitting there waiting at the door going, "Yeehaw!" No.
Let's spark this baby up.
Actually, you know what? My mom.
My kids might think that their parents doing that.
My mom has been calling it that stuff to me all my life. Okay, but last time I was down there, I with the help of Tina Grant, I think her name is. My mom got some CBD medicine to try for her aches and pains. So I just wanted to thank Tina for that. And I'm going to keep people apprised of what's going on and how my mom's feeling. She's can hardly walk. She needs a walker now. And this has happened very rapidly over the last 6 months. So, I mean, there's all kinds of these experiences going on around the world with not only elderly people, but people finding out that, hey, you know what? This isn't so bad. I don't have to smoke it. I'm not getting high, and my pain is gone.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's all the non-smoking consumption that's going on, and all of the the enterprising people out there and home chefs that are making up these wonderful cream remedies and topical remedies and various ways of getting the cannabinoid medication in you without actually smoking it. And that's really attractive to that generation.
Exactly. But the patients need to be able to have the access to the quantity that they need.
Yes,
the
they
limits.
do. Yeah.
They can't be restricted. I just saw somebody post there today. They were talking about, just to put it in perspective, he has a 200 gram a day license. And everybody goes, holy cow, that gives you 10 ounces of juiced cannabis flowers. That's a glass of juiced cannabis is 200 grams. So people that go crazy because of the great big numbers, okay, that's what happens with those numbers.
And some people need it that strong.
It's a glass of juice. You have a glass a day. That's 200 grams a day. How's that even unreasonable?
When you're juicing, it's a whole new ball game with numbers, especially, and it's very difficult to keep going because you need a constant supply that much every day of fresh flowers. It can't be picked. It can't be dried. It's got to be fresh.
Right.
Juicing is extremely difficult.
You basically harvest one plant a day.
Yeah.
Run it through your juicer and suck her back. Yuck.
Yeah.
Doesn't taste very. I've never tasted it raw like that before.
It comes out almost black. It's just putrid.
Well, the stuff I saw looked pretty green. And now, if you've ever taken a nugget right off the plant and just eaten it raw, I've always said it tastes like cucumber.
Most of the people that I know that use it, you always mix it with other juices. Like
we made some
oranges and carrots.
We made some butter with some green stuff, and like it was literally just picked off the plant and put into the magic butter machine. And it was, I'm sure it wasn't bad, but woo, it tasted rancid.
That was the regiment that I think Kim Martell used for her daughter.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. I prefer the tincture. I like the taste of it. I can flavor it if I'm in a mood for some flavor. I've got creamsicle and root beer and grape. And I think there's a Sprite around here, too.
But I guess with the juice in it, there's no high at all.
None at all?
There's no activated THC, so there's no psychotropic at all.
Do you know? So you don't get the body thing?
Nope.
Really?
Not from fresh. I mean, even once it's dried cured stuff has already got some decarboxylation has happened.
Yeah.
It happens naturally over just time and.
Yeah, and the drying process, and then it's activated even further with heat, as we know, and that's what activates the THC even further. But it's there through the drying process. When it's fresh, there's no activated THC in it at all.
Well, you learn something every day.
Fresh to somebody in the summer, actually.
I've never even considered it.
Yeah, I had a patient in the summer I was providing fresh to while I could for, I don't know, a couple months. And they're of Egyptian descent. And apparently something they used to eat as a child made from jute leaves tastes very similar to cannabis, and they were thrilled with the flavor, weirdly enough.
I say it tastes like...
they lost 25 pounds, and skin was better, and yeah.
Wow.
They couldn't stop going on about it.
Would that help type 2 diabetes doing it that way?
Probably help.
I would
Probably
imagine.
help anything.
Yeah, well,
You name it.
Cannabis is subjective. What works for one doesn't work for another. The
Yeah.
best way to find
True
out
enough.
is to try it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
You need
Well,
a
that's
help.
true. I've tried ingesting, like, I hear people talking about, decarboxylating it and grinding it fine and putting it in capsules and
Yeah.
eating it that way.
Yeah, I've done that.
Oh, it just does not agree with me at all.
It hurts.
Does it ever?
I'd rather eat a broken light bulb.
Well, you're pretty much doing that.
There's
When
much
you're
better,
around
much better
cannabis.
ways to consume it than that.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So that's the
and
thing.
For me, and for me, it's coconut oil. I can't do the coconut oil at all.
I love coconut oil.
I've heard that. Somebody else told me that olive oil doesn't agree with them. So it is totally subjective
Yeah.
to each individual person.
It looks like it looks like Deb's trying to jump in here and say something. Deb?
No, I'm just busily listening.
Oh, okay. Every once in a while, I see you light up on the screen, and I can just picture Deb's trying to say something.
You can't hear me. Hello? Hello?
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question of the whole panel?
Sure.
And to try to go back to the year in review thing. Do you guys remember February 24th?
No.
Yes, I do. I'm looking at the news article right now.
Yeah. Do you remember? You remember we all got together and I think, did we get together on February 24th?
Yes, we did.
A lot of us
did.
got together and we were all just on pins and needles. Do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yep.
Can we call that like the high point of 2016?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Everybody was really excited to hear the ruling and find out what was going to happen. The whole cannabis community was on the edge of the seat.
That's right.
Yeah.
February
So-
24th.
So where were you guys when on February 24th?
We were sitting here all together is what we were, where they were. Hello.
Yes, we were. If we weren't, we were somebody else with somebody else that we that was special to us, right? Like whether it was all of us together, whether it was people within an organization. Like I'm sure there were people at MUM that were together on that day and
No,
and,
we were
and
here.
chatting.
No,
back
we
and
were
forth.
we were all here
you.
for the we sat here when we watched the press conference and
That
then we
was
did the
August
show.
24th. That was August 24th.
Oh,
I'm
and then-
talking February 24th when
Yeah.
Phelan made his ruling.
Oh,
We were in here.
we were in here though.
We were in here,
Yeah.
but
Because
we
I
weren't
was
all
told
of
there
us
was
weren't
going
in
to
here.
be pizza. I never
And
saw
there,
any
yeah,
pizza.
there was no fucking
That's
pizza,
right, I
Ross.
remember the pizza.
No, I say pizza, man.
I don't remember what I had for supper, so I can't help you.
But it was funny because the community really came together on that day.
Yeah, that's when they.
Everybody-
No, it's just the community was really nosy that day.
Well, if
They
they
wanted to
had
know-
so many of us.
And they wanted to know what the hell was going on.
Yeah. What we were all just it was like do or die. It was yes or no. It was win or lose. You know what I mean? It was all the whole banana was riding on this, right?
Would you like to take a break and play that show now for a little while?
No, I think what he's trying to say is the rest of the year has been pretty fucking boring.
Well, you know,
it hasn't been as good since then. That was kind of like the peak.
The other thing,
and since then, it's been kind of going down. You know, right?
It's been all controversy since then.
but has anybody else noticed that there has been no patient garden busts this summer? This season, there were no busts.
No.
They
Yeah.
concentrated on the dispensaries.
Yeah.
No, there was virtually no enforcement of outdoor growers this year, and I can say that as somebody who knows literally hundreds of people who grew outside this year. There was no enforcement at all, and in fact, they used to fly this helicopter back and forth all the time, the Ontario Provincial Police, and they didn't do that this year. They didn't even put the
Nothing.
helicopter in the air this year.
We saw a couple of planes flying around low around here, but I mean there's an airport near here too, so I mean it could be.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody to wave at this year, did I?
Debbie.
Not true in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Please tell us.
How much did you see a helicopter down in your neck of the woods this year?
Oh yeah. We're out. We live out in the middle of nowheres. But in 1999, my husband and I were raided and both charged, and he was subsequently convicted of cultivation. Since then, there have only been 3 years that we haven't seen an RCMP helicopter at all.
Oh my God.
But one of our neighbors had been busted a couple of times in the last few years, and we had the helicopter flying over part of our property just as part of his course to turn around and go back over the neighbor's property again. It was gone over thoroughly, as well as several other spots out here where they've found cannabis growing before. There were parts of our county that 2 helicopters were seen flying around and doing their search and seizures that they do by air.
Oh my goodness.
So in Nova Scotia, we're not seeing any difference at all. And
Really?
in fact, I believe Chris was just talking this week with someone from New Brunswick who was recently raided.
Let me ask you a question. About that. Do you think they're doing it because somebody called them and said, I found a field of cannabis, it's over there, go find it? Or do you think they're just doing it generally, searching and doing a zigzag pattern looking for it?
Doing searching up where we are for years.
You do see some of the zigzag pattern of flight going on when you're in the Annapolis Valley itself, because the helicopters will fly up and down along the river and in different areas just looking. Some of it, I believe, is people have reported seeing plants, but we also heard the RCMP on the radio at one point professing that they go where history has shown them to go before. So if you've been raided, you can expect to have a helicopter coming around your property for many years to come. Like I say, from 1999 till now, we only had 3 years.
Wow. So, and that's happened this year? Like that happened this summer?
Yes. Yep. Late August.
Well, in Ontario, I didn't hear nothing from nobody this year.
There was nothing in Ontario.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crickets,
Yeah.
really. I mean, I know a lot of people who pulled down a lot of big fields, and I know people who got ripped off for a lot of big fields too by people, but nobody that had any dealings with the police.
But that's just it in Canada now. It just really depends on what province you live in, on what the tolerance is going to be, and what year it is. What are they focusing on?
I'm sure. I mean, of course, there was some arrests, of course, but there were no arrests that popped out at us, anyways, in Ontario.
No.
Well, what tends to happen with these, Al, is it's a search and seizure.
Yeah.
They
okay.
see them, they don't need a warrant, they grab them, they go, and nobody's charged.
Oh, really?
That's the way they.
Kind of like peeing in your cornflakes,
Yeah.
It was them because they leave the business card, so you can call them if you'd like.
Yeah.
And everybody always does, right? Yeah.
Or they're waving at you as they're marching
driving
across
off.
your property, carrying your girls with them.
Yeah.
I actually had that happen to me one time. I was out in my field. My profile picture, if you look at my profile picture, I was standing in that field. It was almost at that time when that picture was taken, like right within a couple of weeks of that picture. And a little yellow helicopter came and it hovered right over top of me. I'm sitting there with my cane and he's hovering, and my plants are, waving back and forth as the helicopter, the wind. And I look up and I can see the guy's face. I can actually see his face. So I didn't know what else to do. I just
sat there and rolled another one.
I waved. I waved. And he waved back. And then they left. And I thought, oh my fucking God. What's going to happen? I called the police. I called them. I called the local Prince Edward County Police, and I said, I just had a helicopter fly over top of my medicinal cannabis crop, and I don't know what to do. What do I do? I have a license. And the lady's like, oh, you're growing marijuana? And I'm like, well, yeah, I have a license,
He
and
says,
this
yeah,
guy
but
just
the legal kind.
So, you have never got through all the channels so quick as I did. It was like, this was the local Prince Edward County detachment. She says, "Oh, well, let me put you on hold. I'm going to transfer you." Then she transfers me, and it's like, "Hello, Caladar detachment. Hi." And I tell her the whole story too, right? And she's like, "Oh, you're growing marijuana?" It's like, "Just a minute, please." And it's like,
and you're willing to give it up.
yeah, and it's like a couple of more minutes, and then this guy picks up and he goes, "Hello, it's Detective, or so and so, right?" He's like, "I'm talking to the head of Project Longarm." Okay, Project Longarm is the gang that takes down all the grow ops, right? So he's like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I said, "Yeah, I saw this helicopter came over and hovered over my plants, and I don't know what to do because I have a license, and I'm medical, and I don't want you guys to come here and kick down my door or take my plants and shoot my dog, right?" I literally said that to him. So he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Well, he says, "So when did you see this helicopter?" I said, "It was last Tuesday. And it came in and hovered." He says, "Tuesday, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Yellow helicopter, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Yeah, that was me." Yeah. So I'm like, I said, "Well, I want you to know I'm licensed. I don't want you guys to come down here." And he said, "So you got a license?" And the first thing he said to me was, "Who's your doctor?" Because this was right when Dr. Cameraman was in the news. Okay, and Dr. Cameraman was being investigated and harassed and all this stuff, right? So I think he was expecting me to say, Dr. Cameraman, and I said, "No, it was Dr. I won't say his name." And he goes, "Oh, Dr. So-and-so, huh?" He goes, "Well, okay." He says, "I'll tell you what, we didn't see a thing." And it was like, "Oh, thank you. Like, whew. Wow. So there's a helicopter story that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And, it's always a good story to tell, but it's the God's honest truth. And I never got harassed from that day forward.
You've told me that. That sounds like something out of a movie.
We bought our farm up in Englehart 15 years ago, and we came up from Toronto to the northern country. Well, I guess, of course, they figured, there's people from Toronto coming up. They must be growing marijuana. That's all they want to do or something.
Of course.
Because that's what people do. They come up here and they just want to grow marijuana, I guess. I don't know. So this is what I got labeled as. We got labeled as pot growers as soon as we moved up here. 2 years we were living here, and we got a letter in the mail. And it was from the OPP telling me that for the last 24 months, my property has been under surveillance. I almost shit there. I almost shit. And they said, "We are writing you this letter to let you know that the surveillance order has been lifted. Your property is no longer under surveillance. Thank you. Have a nice day."
They told you that they lifted their surveillance, the secret surveillance they had on you.
And that I didn't know that was there.
You start to pee yourself a little bit, and then you suck it back up.
Wow. That's crazy. Hey, Chris. Hey,
yo.
Guess what time it is?
I see what time it is.
All right. You ready?
News, this is it.
Here we go. We're going to do some news. We'll be right back.
No, Chris is going to do some news.
Chris is going to do some news, and we'll be right back.
Sure.
I'm going to do the thing. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. I love the thing. Go for it. Do the thing now.
Are you ready for it? Good evening. I'm Coulter Wonkite. I'm already into the 420. Damn it.
The news.
Try again, Chris.
Free after 8 years of federal imprisonment, one of the nation's most celebrated cannabis convicts came home to California on Wednesday, walking off a United Airlines flight into the warm embrace of supporters in a profoundly changed world. Charles Eddie Lepp, a defiant 64-year-old Vietnam vet and ordained Rastafarian minister, was convicted on federal felony charges in 2007 for doing something that California now considers legal because of last month's passage of Proposition 64, that's growing cannabis. "I'm very honored. I'm very humbled. Thank you so much for caring," Lepp told friends and family at San Francisco International Airport, tears streaming down his creased cheeks. He then vowed to fight for national legalization of cannabis and presidential pardons for first-time non-violent drug offenders. Just because I went to federal prison doesn't mean I get off the horse, said Lepp, who will be on drug monitor probation for 5 years. It's still a long, long ride, and I'll be here when it's done. As a result of his conviction, Lepp lost his beloved Country Lake home, farm, and cars, which were seized and sold by federal drug agents. He also lost his marriage to divorce and missed nearly a decade of life with family and friends, some of whom had died while he was behind bars. Now, large agribusinesses are predicted to move into the state, doing what Lepp did, only bigger. There's no limit to the sizes of cannabis farms under Proposition 64, according to Steve Lyle from the California Department of Food and Agriculture. They'll be growing more plants than Lepp ever did, the Lepp's attorney, Michael Hinckley of Berkeley, and they'll be making profit instead of doing it for religious and medical reasons. Lepp grew more than 50 varieties of high-grade cannabis on 20 acres at the Upper Lake farm he shared with his wife, Linda. Called Eddie's Medicinal Gardens, it was near the gateway to Mendocino National Forest, about 150 miles north of San Francisco. He allowed others to grow their own plants on his property. It was reputed to be the largest single medical cannabis crop seizure in the United States, with an estimated street value of $18 million. Lepp went to trial, took the stand, and admitted the farm was his and what he was doing. While he did not admit specifically to the charges of cultivation and distribution, the jury found him guilty. Only one of the other growers on his farm stepped forward to share responsibility. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, the minimum mandatory sentence. Lepp spurned a plea deal that would have reduced his time behind bars because it would have required an admission of wrongdoing, Hinckley said. He wouldn't say what the judge wanted him to say, he said. He believed he was helping people. Now that he's out, he'll advocate for prison reform, he vowed. I'm all for law and order. There are people out there who are murderers and rapists who deserve to be in prison, he said. But I was literally with thousands of men who got caught with ghost dope, no physical evidence, that are serving 10 and 20 years. It's wrong and needs to be corrected. And as we wait to see how federal government moves forward with its plan to decriminalize cannabis in Canada, legalize, some dispensaries in South Okanagan City have been granted temporary permits. At a public hearing Tuesday night, Penticton's mayor and council approved 2 out of the 7 applicants that were hoping to get temporary permits for pot dispensaries. Both were very professional in the way they conducted businesses in their business model and really, in our view, were focused on the medicinal cannabis use, Penticton Mayor Andrew Jacobitz said. The 6-month licenses were granted to Green Essence Head Shop Inc. and Okanagan Cannabinoid Therapy. With one councillor missing and an initial tie vote, it was Councillor Judy Sentes that put the motion back on the floor and changed her mind, voting in favor. When it was evident it was going to be a stalemate, at that point I couldn't in my conscience. I couldn't let that happen, Sentes said. Some of the conditions associated with the permits included not allowing anyone under the age of 21 inside the shop and getting a business license, which comes with a fee of $5,000. The judge on Wednesday cleared the way for Montana's medical cannabis dispensaries to reopen after a 3-month hiatus, ruling that a drafting error in voter-approved ballot initiative should not delay the measure's implementation. District Judge James Reynolds of Helena ruled the error that pushed back the effective date of a key portion of the initiative until July 1st should not keep very ill patients from accessing the drug immediately. The folks that are maybe the most in need are the least able to provide to grow their own. Reynolds said in making his ruling, I think speed is more important than the niceties. And a Vancouver woman has filed a formal RCMP complaint alleging the police in Whistler seized her cell phone after she used it to film an arrest. Valerie Conley said that she refused to give officers the passcode to her phone. She herself was arrested. There was no conversation, and you can see in the video that I have, he just walked up and grabbed it out of my hand, said Conley. While Mounties have told her she was arrested for obstruction, it's a case that raises concerns with civil rights activists. Conley was walking through Whistler Village Sunday, November 19th, when she took out her cell phone to record what appeared to be a fight between a group of men. As it unfolded, she captured what she believed to be an undercover arrest on camera. Not knowing what the circumstances were, I thought maybe this could wind up as evidence to help the police, said Conley. But as the Mounties were wrapping up the arrest, which she said ended amicably, they noticed her recording the video. Just out of nowhere, one of the uniformed officers walked up to me, grabbed my phone out of my hands, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "We're going to take this for evidence." Conley said the officer walked away with her device. She followed after him, asking what was going on. He told her to provide the cell phone passcode. When she refused, she was taken into custody. The one officer grabbed my arm, twisted it behind my back, handcuffed me, and said I was obstructing and that they were arresting me. Connolly said she was taken to the detachment where police pressed her repeatedly to give up her passcode. She continued to refuse and asked to speak with a lawyer. She was eventually released, but without her phone, and she said she was told she could come back and retrieve it during regular business hours. Connolly said she has nothing against police, but found the officer's behavior disturbing. While Whistler RCMP didn't respond to CBC's request for comment directly, an email from one of the officers to Connolly said her phone was seized as part of an ongoing investigation and that she was detained for obstruction but released without charges. E Division, the provincial body governing RCMP in BC, responded to CBC's request for comment with a statement but wouldn't comment on the specifics of the case. In general terms, the police have the authority to seize cellular phones and other video recording devices from the public if those devices contain evidence that is not available through other means, and that evidence is at risk of imminent loss or destruction, said Sergeant Annie Linto. The policy director for the BC Civil Liberties Association questioned why officers felt the need to seize Connolly's cell phone under the circumstances as she had described them. From the outset, there was concern that it may not have been a legal authority for the confiscation, said Michael Vaughan. As for whether civilians are required to provide passcode to police, Vaughan said the answer is a definitive no. If the phone is locked, there is no compulsion to unlock your phone for this purpose. The issue has become common concern for many Canadians as privacy rights intersect with technological tools used in law enforcement. This is very much a question of that is of great interest at the moment. Should there be a court order process to demand passwords of people? Vaughan also questioned if the RCMP had the legal authority to keep her phone against her will. If they weren't allowed legally to seize the phone in the first place, they certainly should not be allowed to keep it. Vaughan stressed she doesn't know the specifics of the circumstances surrounding this particular case. Excuse me. Well, it was worth a shot. 1 in 7 Canadians currently live in poverty, but the Liberal and Conservative MPs voted together Tuesday night to defeat Bill C-245, which called for the creation of a national poverty reduction strategy in Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, 156 Liberal MPs, plus every Conservative MP in the House of Commons voted against the bill. Although 5 Liberal MPs broke ranks and voted in favor of the private member's bill sponsored by NDP MP Bridget Sansouci. The bill had called for the development and implementation of a national strategy to reduce poverty in Canada and the appointment of an independent poverty and reduction commissioner. While the proposed legislation noted that Parliament had unanimously voted 25 years earlier to end child poverty and that the structural circumstances drive poverty in Indigenous communities, the other thing is Trudeau's 2015 mandate letter to the Minister of Employment and Social Development explicitly called for the development of a Canadian poverty reduction strategy. And he had the chance and he did nothing. And that was the news. Back to you guys. Peace, love, and hippie shit.
I had to turn my mic back on.
Yeah, me too.
I think everybody did. I was sitting here going blah 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 blah, and my mic wasn't on. That was very nice. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that's all we heard. I think we're going to listen to a song, and then we'll come back. I got Steve Burke, Should Be Legalized. We'll be right back. It's the 420 Radio Show.
Sweet, I love this song.
On Lifestyle Radio. It's the 420 Radio Show.
This is Bubbles from the trailer park, and they're playing some fucking excellent music on lifestyleradio.ca. I hope I didn't sound too nervous there.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Just gonna stand here and watch you burn one. That's alright because I love the way it smells. Just gonna stand here and watch you get high. That's alright because because it should be legalized. Should be legalized.
I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you when it feels right. I come back from work and wanna take a break from real life. My dreams didn't work out. I'm stuck here in the rat race. Going to work from 9 to 6 shouldn't be a disgrace, but not in this place, the United States, where we look up to Britney Spears instead of Bill Gates. What a disgrace. How did we get to this place where our culture developed really horrible taste? Who do we blame? I can give you plenty of names. I point my finger at them. I don't really care what they say. Look at the magazines, People, Us Weekly and Star. All those celebrities, but we don't even know who they are. That's cause most of us are living lives as normal as hell. That's why we like to smoke and listen to the stories they tell. And if there's something wrong with that, then I don't wanna be right. So puff up, pass and hand me the light.
Just gonna stand here and watch you place. Sour diesel, purple kush, blueberry haze. Just gonna stand here and watch you get high. That's alright, I think it should be legalized. Should be legalized. It should be legalized. Yeah.
Hey Congress, we need to get something straight. Don't pretend like you got way too many things on your plate. Our country's broke. You need to fix it today. The people voted for you. Start representing your state and regulate it, so we can end the debate and end the hating. No one should be so irate, because the money we make from taxes would really be great. The deficit would deflate, no need to incarcerate. Hey Congress, start using your heads. Not everyone who smokes weed is lazy with dread. Sarah Palin, Clinton, even Obama have admitted to smoking it, so enough with the drama. Like prohibition in the 20s, this law is outdated. Weed is safer than booze, it's time to regulate it. And if you don't pay attention to me, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll start a revolution and then vote out your whole crew.
Just gonna stand here and watch you smoke. That's alright, I think I also have a toke. Just gonna stand here and watch you float to the sky. That's alright, I think it should be legalized. It should be legalized. It should be legalized. Yeah.
Adam Sandler, one of my biggest role models. If I'm gonna do a song on weed, I'll do it full throttle. Let's name some names, just like the Hanukkah song. But instead of Jewish people, these ones hit the bong. Willie Nelson, Snoop Dogg, those are obvious ones. But Martha Stewart and Oprah, let's start naming the big guns. Kimmel, Jon Stewart, even Stephen Colbert. Woody Harrelson smoked so much that he lost all his hair. Matt Damon, Clooney, Pitt, most of Ocean's 11. If Angelina smoked me out, I think I would be in heaven. Bill Maher, Jack Black, Tina Fey, Charlie Sheen, all four smoke green. So there's the media queen, Perez Hilton. We all know you smoke joints, I don't judge you for that. You get extra points. Halle Berry, Richard Branson, John Kerry, Al Gore. I'm not nearly done yet, I'm gonna name some more. Do you see how this list is ridiculous? The facts aren't conspicuous, my research is meticulous. They've all smoked and are supporters of weed. The list goes on and on, like Michael Phelps' lung capacity, Sacha Baron Cohen, and Justin Timberlake. What they both have in common is that they like to get really big. Eminem, Megan Fox, Rihanna too. I know you smoke Natalie Portman, so this one's for you.
Not gonna waste time and just stand by. I'm gonna send this to my congressman tonight. Weed is American as apple pie, and now it's time for us to make it legalized. Make it legalized. Make it legalized.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! We're back.
Woohoo!
The conversation continues.
You guys missed the party.
Yeah. Let's smoke weed. I mean pot. I mean cannabis.
Smoke
Can we do that during the show?
What?
Smoke weed every day.
We're not allowed to do that during the show. Our guests are not allowed to smoke.
The show? Okay.
No.
Then I'll vaporize it instead.
So we were talking, Al, you said you had an article or something in front of you?
I had an article for you. I didn't say that, but,
Not like an article of clothing, right? Leave his clothes on, right?
We were talking grassroots, I think. Wasn't it something?
Yeah, you were telling us that you had grassroots in front of you and you had some articles to.
Oh,
if we needed.
Well, I had like each issue. I got each issue here, and I got the news during those sort of time frames.
So what happened in like March and April? Let's move on to March and April.
March and April. Well, I got February here in front of me.
You got February. Oh, you said you had all of them.
They are. I'm opening it up right now. I just had to open the folder.
Just give us some of the headlines.
Come on, don't give him a hard time. Al has not been well.
Let's see. The producers must have gotten in trouble for advertising rules because they're learning how they're done.
They've never stopped advertising.
They're talking about drunk driving. Ashtrays aren't legal in cannabis lounges, but marijuana is.
Oh, that was a big one for a lot of the vapor lounges.
Yeah. Vancouver mayor supports legalization.
That was right around when we had that Vancouver city councilor on. Who was it?
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, he had an Asian name, I think.
It was.
I'll look. You guys keep talking, Al. I will look.
Okay. Good luck. Schools were starting to talk about medical cannabis because of some of the children were, or the students were ending up with it.
Jerry Chang. Jerry Chang. That's it. Yeah.
Kerry.
Kerry Chang. Yeah.
That's not Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia, we lock the students out of the schools.
Yeah. For a day.
Victoria was looking at getting input for regulations on medical pot shops. Issuing a $5,000 license fee was suggested.
Yeah, in March. In March as well, we also had the launch of Dana Larson's Overgrow Canada campaign, right?
That's true too.
Yeah, going around with the seeds. That's right.
And dispensaries were open up like 5 or 10 a day.
You know what? I never got my seeds. Speaking of that, I'm going to have to talk to him.
Shoppers Drug Mart was talking about selling cannabis back there too.
Yeah.
Wow. So they started that thought a long time.
That's
ago.
when that first article came out. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that here we go. We were in a kind of a bubble. I think that was like the bubble time. It was post Allard. It was pre ACMPR. It was all of the excitement about legalization and people trying to overgrow the government and open dispensaries and and lobbying the government. I mean, a lot of us were busy doing that too. I mean, Lori and Debbie. I mean, you guys know how hard we worked during that period to try to convince the government to give us something, a good answer to the Allard hearing.
That's one thing that 2016, the summer of 2016, I think, and the spring of the 2016, a lot of organizations really came together and began enforced lobbying at different levels of government all across the country. We came together and we learned how to fight the government and talk to the government on their turf instead of just always holding protests and stuff and bringing our case right directly to the government and getting organized. It's been a fantastic year for that.
See,
well said, Kim. So, the end result is that we got into what, do you have anything from June, July in front of me?
I got April in front of me. New Brunswick.
The beach. That's what happened in June and July. It was the beach.
The beach.
It was a son of a
legalization.
Yeah.
Legalization appears to be on fast track.
In June?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now we're in April.
Must got a flat.
There's articles I got here where like Craig Jones and some others were asking about why are we still prosecuting people for cannabis use?
We're still asking that.
Yep,
You're still asking that, exactly.
I think the Cannabis Friendly Business Association was formed in May or June.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So there's another organization where you get the craft growers all coming together, and they're also trying to, force government into making certain decisions or going in a certain direction. There were so many of us working from so many different angles, whether it was recreational or medicinal or a little of both. We all kind of pushed the envelope through, right through into June. And I know this summer was a big growing season for everybody, like across the country. I think there was probably more cannabis grown outdoors this summer probably than ever. I mean, it would be impossible to get those numbers, like statistics. But I just get the feeling, knowing what I know as a hydroponic store owner and knowing as many growers as I know and seeing the kind of harvest that came in. I've never seen this much cannabis grown in one summer ever. And in the 14 years I've been in business, and in the 40 years I've been growing it myself.
It means we're winning.
It means we're winning.
People are more comfortable.
Yeah, April 20th, we all know Jane Philpott announced to the UN that in a year's time we'll have our legislation out. So this spring, the legislation will come forward this spring.
So that was pretty exciting too. So like right up until June, July, we're still pretty stoked about things.
Yeah, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here.
And then somebody reminded Justin about the treaties that he'd have to break, right?
Well, that was Philpott at the UN, though, right? She went there to the UN and announced. She actually made the announcement. One of the big announcements, right there, right?
Yeah.
It was almost.
And as far as the treaties go, I mean, Canada is already on violation of those treaties with our medical program.
Right. Ask a native how we do treaties.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's a whole other issue. That's a whole other issue.
All those.
In June, they had a discussion paper come forward about people, putting in their input.
Right.
Yeah.
How many of us? How many of us on the panel actually put in our input into that?
I did.
That consultation process.
I would say all of us on the panel.
Pretty much everybody. I put in two. I put in one on behalf of the nonprofit, and I put one in as an individual. Probably about 5,000 words total.
Well, they definitely didn't make that form easy, and it was very leading. The questions that they asked were very leading. They were trying to get you to answer in a certain way. And they left a lot of stuff out that they didn't want to get answers to and avoided certain areas that should have been brought up openly for discussion. There wasn't a whole lot of room to just say what you wanted to say.
And you got to add one attachment, right? And I have never crammed so many things into one PDF in my whole life.
The marijuana task force led by Deputy Anne McClellan was announced.
Yeah, and now we're getting into the summer. We're coming towards August 24th, but things are starting to get a little shaky, right?
Was it Anne McClellan the one they call us dirty stoners?
Who said that, Chris?
Was it Anne McClellan? She said something derogatory about cannabis consumer patients.
Well, here's an article that was in the Globe and Mail where it says that Ottawa is holding behind-the-scenes talks with pot shop advocates. That was in the Globe.
Pot shop advocates.
Yeah.
Like dispensary advocates.
Let me open up the article and I'll let you know.
So they actually talked to dispensary advocates? Who talked to them?
I'm sure somebody from the task force probably had.
Well, I'm opening up the...
But did they listen?
Well, Jody Emery got time.
It says Bill Blair has been currently meeting with advocates over springing up across the country. So dispensaries.
Yeah, I know Jody Emery got time, and I think, I know Abby Roach got time, and they're both advocates for dispensaries, one in obviously BC and the other in Ontario. For sure, those two did get time.
So a couple of mice got to go eek. While the LPs and the big business interests were just shuffling duffel bags full of money. to get their point across.
Well, yeah, it's all their brothers in arms up there, right? You know.
Yeah,
retirees from the cabinet.
Back to that list of people, right?
That's
Kurt Tusaw, John Conroy, they also were involved there, with longtime council dispensaries. Yeah.
So are we into August yet?
No, we're still into June here, man.
June, July, anything in July?
July, I'll get them. I just quickly scroll. I got like a dozen articles. I got like a dozen articles in legalization and a dozen articles.
You can tell Ross and Al know each other very well just by the way they talk to each other. Like, I'll get there.
I'll get there. Give me a minute, guys.
There's this guy here, Liberal MP wants to decrim a year before legalization. That's the guy who just spoke out recently about wanting to get things going again.
Yeah, Erskine Smith there. He's out of the beaches, I think. Toronto, right?
Can we take a break?
Yeah.
Guys?
Sure.
Cool. Let's take a break. I got to pee. And I figured it was appropriate because Al uses this song as his startup intro song on his show, the Pace Radio Show, which is Wednesday right here on 420radio.ca and lifestyleradio.ca. Woohoo! And it's the Killing Time Band. Doesn't make sense because, it really doesn't fucking make sense at this time. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Fucking makes sense at this time. So
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
I think it's time for a change.
want me to keep rhyming up a bunch of news articles? And
Yeah, sure. Do what you like. You can. You know what, Al?
That's working good.
Hey, Al. You know what?
As long as you don't mind Ross pressuring you along.
You can start right now.
Somebody's got to do it.
You can start right now. Go ahead, Al.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. We got some more news stuff here. We're into July. Ottawa might try to prohibit homegrown pot growing.
No.
Ooh. Well, yeah. Now we're getting into the heavy prediction time, right? Everybody had a crystal ball.
Yeah, but at that time, that's all it was predictions. All of those articles worded so carefully. This is what's happening. Bullshit.
Remember the law firm? There was a law firm that came out and they said people are only going to grow 6 plants for medicinal use.
Yeah.
And we know this.
Yeah.
Well, they said they're going to treat it like tobacco, and as everybody knows, here in Ontario, we can grow tobacco.
Yeah.
You can grow tobacco anywhere in Canada.
Is it anywhere in Canada? There you go. There you go.
15, and you can possess 15 kilograms.
There it is. Yeah, 15 kilograms
per adult per household.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And it smells just like cannabis when you smoke it.
I don't know about that.
And they grow fairly well together.
The cigarette smoke I smell when I don't know. I'm one of those reformed Nazi ex-smokers.
Cop walks by your property. Hey, what's that you got there in your garden? Tobacco? You're under arrest.
Also, in July here, I'm sure they've probably been a guest on both our shows, and that was the Cannabis Shopping Mall to open up in Victoria, the Great Canadian Canna Mall.
Yeah.
I don't think
I guess
they.
That was
That's still going.
Ashley Abrams.
They're still going, right?
Yep. Yeah, we had Ashley and Steve on the show for an interview when they opened up. And
I don't think we've had them on the show, actually. I think we were planning on it.
I think I listened to that one.
Yeah, we were planning on having them on, but I don't think that we've had them on yet. We should have them on. Yeah.
Yeah, they're still going. Actually, they hosted an event there for Ted Smith just recently.
Cool.
Had a meeting held in the mall in the paper lounge that's there.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, I know the lounge itself, the green ceiling.
Yeah, the green ceiling.
Yeah, they've been visited a couple times by the bylaw people, eh?
Yeah, they have. They've been having a rough time, but they're still running.
They were just given last week or the week before. They were given the go ahead. That's an actual legitimate facility now. It's a safe inhalation site.
Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect.
Very
They got
nice.
their,
Right.
I know they were going for their variants through the town. So
And they
good.
got
I'm
it.
glad they got it.
They got it.
So
Yeah.
Al Graham.
Which one?
Yeah.
Al Graham.
Oh, gee, thanks.
The August issue of Grassroots, did it come out before or after the Health Canada announcement?
The August one, you would have got that in the September issue.
Okay, so it was post announcement. Well, look in your August issue. What's in there?
Okay. There we go.
Oh, we're skipping over one actually in August.
Yeah, I know.
August, we
I'm in
had,
July right now. I had one here where there was an article in CBC about letting lounges sell pot like bars sell alcohol. What do you guys think about that?
Go for it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually in the cards. I think.
But it'll drop alcohol sales.
It already is. Beer sales have gone down. I saw an article about that the other day.
Oh yeah, that's why they're all upset at us now.
Yep. Well, whatever.
Pissed off the liquor
But
guys.
the makers of the guy who came up with the OxyContin, he's going into the weed market now.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. He's now a part of the LP system.
All the pharma that's hopping on board with cannabis, how come Molson and them haven't, Seagram's and all those folks
Maybe we
haven't
just
bought in,
haven't
or
heard about it
we
yet.
just not know about it yet.
Yeah, maybe we just
that's
don't know
true.
about it yet.
I'll bet their money's in there. You just don't know it.
Oh,
Isn't that make also room, common sense room for craft cannabis? There is an in as well because we have craft beer makers, so why not craft cannabis?
I want to be a cannabis sommelier.
There
You know,
go.
one of the guys who goes around like the wine guys who sniff the wine, you know, and taste it and then spit it back out. And they go,
You know what? I've actually
what a fine vintage.
There's a winery that's going into the cannabis market, and they just followed me on Twitter there, so I will look at them.
I live 5 minutes away from a craft brewery, and I like to see a cannabis version of that where you can go in and they've got their products there. Not only their buds, but they've also got their creams and lotions and all those other things as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
August. I don't see it's going to be announced right away, right? On that line. But maybe if we come back in 100 years.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be around.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see.
I hope I live long enough to see some reasonable form of legalization. I don't know. I'm going to be 61 in a couple of months. It better happen.
Right.
It better fucking happen soon, okay? Because at 20 years from now, I'm going to be an old guy, and hopefully they are going to have figured all this shit out, and it's going to be something that's makes sense and is reasonable and is not so stupid anymore.
Yeah.
I hope the stupid's gone before I die. How's that?
So Al, what happened in September and beyond? Because we've only got 15 minutes
I got an August
left.
story here, which started out nasty, and that was Doug and Michelle Sikora. Their place of business was busted, and just recently it's been announced they've got a business permit.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're in much better light now than they were back then. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But they did get raided, and they're a long-time business, and they're well known in their community, and they do a bunch for their community. Another bust that happened in August too was Lisa Kirkman got busted for medicating at a bus stop.
Yeah.
That was when Vancouver started cracking down on a lot of the dispensaries too, and saying you had to be 300 meters apart and you couldn't be near a school and you can't have too close together. And they started, and they started trying to get them shut down, and they shut down quite a few. And I know Kurt Tusaw's, won a lot of their Board of Variance hearings and things like that, and got some of them back. But wasn't that happening right around then too?
Yeah. Yeah, it was all the same time. Everybody was cracking down all of a sudden in anticipation of what was coming.
So should we move on to the ACMPR announcement?
Yes.
Sure, yes.
I mean, we all got together and we did a live show. I mean, you guys remember that, right? It was chaos. I've never been on one of the shows. I haven't been on as long as a lot of you guys have, but I've been on quite a few of them, and I haven't seen a show with so many people on it. Just
we had Ross. As the story goes, we had Ross on as a guest, and he refuses to fucking leave. I don't know why he's still here.
It was so awesome though, because the news was breaking as we spoke. The regulations were coming out. One guy was pouring through the regulations and figuring out what this and that meant, and while somebody else was talking about something they just read, and then that person would come on and say, okay, it's this and this and this is in the regulations, and then somebody else was looking something else. That was just the most awesome piece of journalism I think that I've ever been involved in. I don't
Absolutely. As a listener on that one, I wasn't on the panel on that one. I was listening in. Where I wasn't able to tune in and come online with you guys. But I was online with the space I was in, with the people I was with, as we're all anticipating what was happening. And we were getting our live feed news from you guys, and that's what we were doing. And I was on the other end making comments on the live feed online, and it was quite an exciting couple of hours.
Wasn't it? It was another high point. It was another high point too, because it was. I don't know about you guys, but it was better than what I was expecting.
Absolutely, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting something a little more screwed up.
Yeah.
But
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, and then they end up combining things, and the paperwork's been cut in less than half.
Yeah, it came out much more logically than I ever expected it to.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was ecstatic by the end of the day. By the end of August 24th, that day, I was a happy dude again. It was another high point. It was like we reached this high in February 24th. We rippled up and down and up and down and up and down. And August 24th, we shot back up. So I guess really there were two high points in 2016, weren't there?
We won the Allard thing, and this was the results of the Allard decision.
Yeah, and it was better than
it was exciting. It was very exciting.
Yeah, and it was better than what we thought, and I was personally happy. Well, a lot of people weren't, though. I mean, there were still the people who were saying, "Oh, this is bullshit. We shouldn't have to do it." Blah, blah, blah,
There's an awful lot of fucking grumpy people, and we're supposed to chill you out. I don't get that.
Yeah. Yeah. What
the fuck, man? Come on.
Well,
Time
it's got lots of that airing has got a lot of listening. Like a lot of plays on it.
I think.
Yeah, up over 200 or so.
Oh, it's more than that. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, it was big. That was probably one of the biggest shows.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look.
Go look. Yeah. It's something like last I saw it was like 800 or 700.
What?
Like
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Wow, man.
Awesome. I mean, it was a very good show. It was very informative. I really enjoyed it. I listened in beginning to end, and I was chiming in on my websites and stuff, and from the information.
What date was that?
I remember that. And
What date
we were
was
doing
it?
that too. We were reading the regulations. We were talking on air, and we were surfing Facebook and Twitter and everything, getting comments from people, and that was just such an awesome experience. I really was happy to be part of that.
686 plays right now, man.
Wow.
Wow.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Wow.
So then what happened in September?
Yeah.
Al, what happened in September?
In September, what I got here, this pot dispensaries in Ottawa being what the mayor wants to enforce. The mandatory pot cultivation was thrown out of court as well. That was Harper's tough on crime law. Couldn't he
That's
had
right. Yep.
mandatory minimums.
Uh-huh.
That was thrown out of court in September.
I'm looking on Spreaker at shows during those months actually.
Yeah.
Where are we in August? We had
going end of August, start of September.
we had
yeah,
Dr.
I'm in September
Cameraman's.
right now.
We had Dr. Cameraman's on the 420 show in August on August 26th.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That brought up a question I was going to ask earlier. When somebody mentioned Dr. K, it brought a question to mind that I would like comment from the panel on. Does anybody here think that there would have been anywhere near the problem for him if Global 16x9 had not done that show where they chased him down and exposed him, quote unquote?
Yeah, it was. I think that was just part of a larger shit show, and
He was the example.
to demonize him. He was demonized.
I think
like
he was the example in the whole thing. They wanted to make a big splash, and they chose him.
I don't blame the advocates that were involved in it. I blame it on Global. The way they portrayed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely had a big influence, and the media drives a lot of actions.
Correct.
Especially when it comes to cannabis.
Yeah, and we all know that the media can make one thing look one way, or with some commentary and some editing, it can make it look a completely different way. It's all how they portray it and the way they display it for the general public.
Like this marketplace show that was just on. Anybody see that? It was CBC Marketplace.
Yeah, that was when they were doing the testing. They're doing the testing?
Yeah, they tested product and they said that people were deliberately trying to breed out CBD.
Yeah. I heard that.
Who the fuck does that?
What the hell were they talking about?
They said that people were deliberately trying to breed out CBD because it interfered with the effect of THC.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Isn't it?
Oh.
I mean, and this is a show that normally handles business and finance and stock markets, and all of a sudden they become cannabis specialists, right?
Wait, so
Who said that? Was it like a quote from somebody?
Are you saying that nobody has ever tried to breed out CBD?
Not intentionally.
Are you saying that nobody's tried to breed out CBD intentionally so that they could make a very high THC extract?
No, extracts are a different thing.
Well, why would you? Because it doesn't add to the THC, and the CBD doesn't actually take away from the THC either. So whether it's there or not is irrelevant.
Take away the THC, but CBD does count.
Okay, I'm not saying that nobody's ever, but they make it sound like a pretty broad blanket statement that, oh my God, this is what they're doing.
Yeah, this is what they're deliberately trying to get rid of CBD because it's interfering with people getting high.
It goes back to what Kim just finished saying, is that the media will take anything and twist it to portray it. If all they had to do was talk to one breeder and says, oh, well, we're developing this strain without CBD so that we can go after a high concentrate THC market. Well, then they turn around and go out and spread mass media that, oh, yeah, well, these guys are all out there trying to remove CBD.
Right. So one or two
for their pitch.
Yeah. So one or two people go out and do it, and all of a sudden it's everybody.
But that's how the media portrays everything, right?
Absolutely. Look at me after my fire. They said that it was a sophisticated drug lab. I had 3 crock pots on the counter.
Sophisticated, man.
Oh, wow. What a scientist.
And no ventilation.
Unbelievable.
Talking about testing, in September, Health Canada announced that we could get our cannabis tested at labs. At some,
right? Yep.
Yeah, they have a list of labs that we can go to.
Did anybody check into prices for testing?
I've been doing some. I've done some reviews on the ones that are on the list there. Actually, really recently, like this afternoon, and I did find one that did list the price, $75, and that was a CBD, THC, acid, and as well as the other, and the CBN, and it was $75.
Was that is this a licensed lab or is that other lab that's doing it?
This is a licensed lab.
It is? So it's a licensed dealer on the licensed dealer list.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And they will send you you'll contact them. They'll send you a box. You put your product in it, and you would send the box in, and they would test it for you. Now, the only thing is the website doesn't say how it's tested, whether it's liquid chromatography or gas chromatography. So,
and there's a big difference.
Correct.
There is, yeah. Because if you're doing GCMS, gas chromatograph mass spectrometer, the prices I've seen for that testing have been upwards of 200 plus for a complete profile, including terpenes.
I've got 5. I've got 5 here that I'm going to contact to see what kind of information I can get out of them. I did find one that is the liquid. But their setup is that you have to pass a on your credit check. You have to do a credit check with them.
Really?
Really? Like, come on now. I don't think.
You give them a credit card number, and if it goes through, there's your credit check.
Yeah, approved.
Your credit's good.
So I'm looking into it because I'm dealing with some CBD strains, and I want to see what they are, and I'm in a discussion with one of the breeders over some of this. So they've asked me for a liquid chromatography test, and so I'm seeing what these places offer.
Great.
But as far as $75 was the lowest I saw.
That's a good price.
That's a good price.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. I've heard more like $350. That's what I've heard.
Well, yeah. I've heard it up to $500, depending on how. Like, if you want to get pesticides tested,
I've heard
mold, bacteria, terpene profile with all the cannabinoids, it's $500.
What do you guys?
Exactly, you're exactly right. I saw that one. I saw a full blown one listed at $500.
Yeah. What do you charge at BMA, Ross?
Offers are different.
Yeah.
Some offer.
We were quoted $650 for a full profile.
Wow.
Yep.
And that would include everything: fungicides, pesticides, heavy metals.
Yep.
So it all depends on what you're looking for in results. If you want a full profile, you're just looking for THC count, CBD count.
And pesticides.
What are you looking for?
Yeah.
You always got to pay for what you want, right?
Some of them
The home grower is only going to be interested in THC and CBD. Really.
People are going to want to know all of it if
knows
they
what's
can.
in soil. Pardon?
People are going to want to know all of it if it's there.
Yeah. It's all, yeah.
It's a matter of what they can afford, though.
Yeah,
they can
cost
afford-
effectively, the average home grower is going to want to know their THC and CBD count. They don't need to know about pesticides because we know what we've used to grow it. So that's taken care of. It's only the connoisseur that's going to want to know the terpene count.
Well, I mean, you say that, but didn't Monsanto just recently buy General Hydroponics?
They sure did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Okay, so
Care.
isn't there a possibility you could wind up with stuff in your plant?
Wait a minute,
Yeah,
is Monsanto owns Scott's? Because Scott's,
yes, they are.
Yeah.
they own Scott's.
Yes.
They own all kind of food products now, man.
Oh yeah, I know they got long tentacles. I didn't think I thought it was bad enough that Miracle Grow bought General Hydroponics, but
But Miracle Grow is Monsanto.
yeah, exactly. Well,
and
now I know that. I didn't really realize that. I thought it was bad enough that it was Scott's and Miracle Grow that was getting their hooks into it, but they're owned by Monsanto. That just makes it worse.
So you want to see if there's any Roundup in your cannabis, right?
Right, but that wouldn't be in that profile of testing that you would get done. So you would end up having to pay extra for just to find out if that was in there.
Talking about paying and money. Also in September, this is when the bank started to jump on the businesses. You guys down there with Hemp Haven. BMO dropped them. Another bank started doing the same thing.
Yep. Who were the banks again? It was Bank of Nova Scotia. I know was one of them because they did it to us 13 years ago.
And Bank of Montreal.
Yes.
Yep, Bank of Montreal was the other.
Bank
Who else
of
was
Montreal.
it? Was it CIBC?
I understand. TD.
There was only three of them.
There were only three. Yeah.
Was there only three?
I think it was TD.
No, it wasn't TD because I know we deal with TD and
Royal. It was Royal. I'm pretty sure Royal Bank was in there and
We don't know the third, so to avoid incriminating someone.
Yeah.
Hey, they're just fucking banks. They incriminated themselves a long time ago.
Yeah, well, we won't incriminate them. What we'll just say is that in that single move, they increased the business for credit unions exponentially.
They did.
That's what I was just going to say. Everybody go to a credit union, you're better off.
I got two articles here. One that sort of touches on half of us, and another one that touches on the other half of us, as far as location wise.
Touch me.
Yeah, down there in New Brunswick, your government's giving money to companies so that they can teach people how to grow marijuana.
Yeah.
You mean licensed producers?
No.
Yeah, that's what they gave.
What they've been talking about is the university is looking at putting on a cannabis horticultural classes.
Yeah, a registered cannabis course. That you can take,
and they'd have to grow to do that, wouldn't they?
Accredited course, yeah.
They'd have to grow. They'd actually have to. Somebody would have to be licensed to do that and approved. I would guess because they would have to.
I don't know. It's
grow.
just information exchange, unless you bring a plant in and for an exhibit.
I think they were using hemp.
Okay.
Well,
good choice because it grows the same.
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, something that was controversy up towards Al and I and Lori and Kim, and that's the Durham Police Services okaying the approval of one of their officers to have a licensed dispensary.
Right.
Yeah, that was a punch in the face.
But there's that whole First Nations thing, right? That's involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy's he's a First Nations officer who lives on the reserve right across the road from the dispensary. So he is native. He is living on the reserve, and his partners are all on the reserve. The dispensary's on the reserve, and that's why it all happened. And I don't think people could get past the rage that they saw in a cop owning a dispensary.
We don't have anything.
The fact that the cop owned it. It was the fact that the cop is also took part in raids on his public record that he was on duty during raids of other dispensaries. And the police force itself continued to raid other dispensaries just down the street off the reserve property.
Oh, yeah.
somebody to
Yeah.
get popped.
You can't argue
completely
that
hypocritical.
Yeah, you can't argue it wasn't total hypocrisy. I'm not, I'm certainly not trying to defend it. It is outrageous. It is outrageous that a cop who's got his own dispensary, regardless of what his background is, can go out and raid and shut down and jail other people who are doing the same thing he's doing. I mean, that obviously sucks.
Yeah, and in my
And
area,
then he gets
I'm
into his public vehicle car, which is
Yeah.
plastered with the emblem of his dispensary
Yep.
logo, including a cannabis leaf for Loud and Proud standing there,
Wow.
and that's his public vehicle. I mean, he has
Kind
a
of
full
rubbing your
plastic.
face in it, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. He is. In my area, there's no legal means to get it in this area, and I'm in between Kincardine and Stayner, two of the largest grows in Ontario. And there's no. We have to go down to the city, basically, Guelph, Barrie, Toronto, Brampton.
Northern Ontario. I mean, the closest I got to get to a dispensary is to go to Barrie, and then on to Toronto. And that's like a 6-hour drive.
Yeah, and
I got about the 45 minutes to an hour drive.
Yeah.
I could just drive to Shannonville, and Shannonville is the same situation as we talked about, as Ross talked about, with the native owner on native territory and the whole bit. And throw a little plug in here. We're gonna have him on a guest in January.
Cool. Yeah, he's coming on as my
he's going to come on, and we'll be able to find out about how all that is working.
Al, is that
Cool.
Chinini
That's
you're
awesome.
talking about, or another guy?
This is the owners of Legacy 420 out of Shannonville.
So how are things
They're
going
going
with?
to be on your show, Al?
Yeah, the first show of the year, January the 4th.
How are things
gotta
going
listen to
with
that one. I've gotta listen
Chinini? Al?
Pardon me?
How are things going with Chinini? Did they open?
Things are going pretty good with him. He's still not open a dispensary or anything. He's still looking for funding, but he's building. So I mean, construction is taking place, and he's still doing his drive, and he's still determined.
Awesome.
Let's see. In October, Ontario cannabis consumers were told they would face the same penalties as drunk drivers. The government released flying regulations with your cannabis.
Yeah. We were actually, they came out with a statement saying, okay, you're a patient, you are allowed to fly within Canada with your meds. Here's actually what you need to get on a plane. And it was a pleasant surprise for a lot of patients.
That's right.
So I guess we're almost at time, so we should probably wrap up the 2016 year in review. Where are we now?
October.
Nothing's changed.
November.
I'm ripping through the last final ones here. Whistler Mountain, where we could buy our first cannabis live plant, $750.
And Trump got elected, and
Jerry Martin, who has been running a cannabis dispensary in the same place for 4 years, all of a sudden got busted.
Yes, he got busted as well.
Yeah.
And we're well aware of the veteran situation as well.
The cut to the funding for vets medicine. They're limiting the amount of grams that you're allowed coverage for per month. Which is, again, the government stepping in with doctor-patient regimes. So you're saying that you know better than the doctor what this man needs.
Where's the science that shows 3 grams? Where's the science that shows 3 grams help them with all the different conditions that they're dealing with?
So I guess the one thing we got left in 2016 still yet to come is the release of the task force recommendations.
When
is supposed to come?
When is that supposed to be?
Like the 21st. I heard last number I heard was the 21st of December.
Well, John Iverson had that article that
Just in time for Christmas.
Right.
You mean the one that was
he said something December the 19th.
Merry Christmas. You can smoke pot.
No, Merry Christmas. Here's the bad news.
Yeah.
That's
it's good. Yeah. Well, John's article stated that it's going to be mail order.
Yeah, that's what I read. I read that same article. I think we talked about it. Was it last Friday or the Friday before? We talked about that John Iveson article in the National Post, and how he supposedly had the ear or the mouth, I guess, of somebody who was close to the task force. And he said a lot of things in there that if they come true, I know there's going to be a lot of unhappy people.
Yeah, well,
Letter
they're
carriers
saying
scared.
LPs are going to have a monopoly on the non-medicinal market.
That's
a
given.
It's going to make absolutely no impact to the two things that they keep saying that their goal of this entire thing is.
Bingo.
Right?
Bingo, Laurie. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And why don't they get
no
that?
impact to that whatsoever.
Why did they not get that? Why did they not get the cannabis community? Why do they not understand that the market that they want to sell it to doesn't want what they're offering?
Yeah.
Why don't they
And the
get
market that they want to sell it to is there already buying it. Already.
I know. And they think that...
Not to mention the few new users that you are going to get, this is an impulse buy. This is not something you plan ahead for.
Quite often, yeah. You know,
sure. Cannabis is an impulse buy?
Yeah, sure. You call
up. You're out for a night for a party, and you say, "Hey, you know what? Let's grab some weed and smoke some dope tonight."
Yeah.
Well, you know, you want to do that now. You don't want to frickin' buy it and order it next week just in case.
I'm sorry, but beer is my impulse buy, not weed.
Yeah.
But if cannabis was available at every corner dispensary as much as liquor is, then that may be the different choice.
All right, so
or everywhere that there's a pharmacy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what's our schedule then, Al? Like, are we going to be able to do a show at the 21st? What's our Christmas or holiday schedule like for Fridays?
If everybody's around, then I don't see why not. I mean, we're taking a break from the 23rd to the. We'll be back on the 6th, but we're doing a show next week.
Okay, so this is the 23rd. Is the 23rd a Friday?
The 23rd is a Friday.
Okay, so we won't be able to do it then.
The 21st is you'll have to talk to Al.
Maybe we're not doing a show on the 21st.
Well, maybe we are.
Actually, the 14th is our last show.
Yep.
Okay. Until the 4th.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll find a way to do something.
When we come back in January, all of us will have had an opportunity to read whatever the hell is in their report and have an opinion formed about it.
Digest it all and get informed.
If something big comes up and Al wants to hey, let's throw a show together, and do something.
I think that maybe we'll do a pace show. I think maybe we should do a pace show like we did here, but on your slot.
Yeah. Like, why don't we plan for the day they make that announcement? I don't know. Like, I've heard the 21st, but I'm not positive about that. But why don't we do something on when they announce that day they announce?
If we're all available and I'm not picking up relatives or anything, sure. Being the Jew in the family, I get to go and travel in Christmas time and pick people up.
Our whole family's Jews, are like just certain individuals in a family are Jews. They're just not all Jews.
No, I'm the only Jew in this family.
My whole family's atheists, so we all stick together.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan to me. When they do the announcement,
and you'll find me in a theater on Christmas Day. You'll find me watching movies and eating popcorn.
So is everybody available if the day of the announcement? Do you think,
As of right now, I am. But
I would believe so. I don't do much.
Me neither.
We have no life.
If you're looking for,
surely all of us are available, right? Let's face it.
Laurie, maybe we can change that. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
I might have to go Christmas shopping.
Yeah, I don't do Christmas shopping. I give money. I'm a Jew. Sorry, Mom. So what else do we?
I guess how far over are we?
How far are we, Al? Yeah.
10 minutes over.
We're 10.
Well, yeah. I'm in the last of it here. There's there's an article here in the Globe that was talking about the government can't charge for more than $10 a gram in order.
Right,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Well, obviously LPs are charging $15 a gram.
But Al, you and I are in the same area, Al. You know, you can get an ounce for $150 right now.
Yeah,
I'll make a phone call and I'll get you an ounce for $150 right now.
Yeah.
And we know what that is per gram, right?
Yes, we do. Oh, actually,
here, I'll tell you what it is. It is.
You can tell the guy owns a store. He's got a calculator in front of him.
$5 a gram. Well, there's one on the computer, dude.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So $5 a gram right now, and they're saying it's going to be 10 to get the black market out, right? So they're half right, I guess.
Yeah, half right. Almost
Yeah,
there.
I can't believe I actually said it when I did my bit there up in that press conference, but I referred to the people living in the Crystal Palace and how they don't know what the hell's going on outside.
It's more like a crystal bubble.
Bedro can. I guess I shouldn't throw out a name there, but there's one LP for $6.50 a gram.
Yeah,
but I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's milled up or whether it's bud, but it's $6.50 a gram.
And that's
compassionate pricing. Bedrocan's milled, isn't it?
From my understanding, yes, correct. It's milled.
It's
volcano ready, quote unquote.
Yeah,
right. Well, I know another LP actually has 450.
Wow. So what do they do with all the crystals
the
they collect when they mill it?
No, and the stuff that I'm referring to isn't actually milled. Bud. I've actually seen it, and it's bud.
Yeah. Oh, really? Because I'll tell you this stuff that I know of that's $150 an ounce is like primo, just the best. Okay, so if that's what they're milled or their sweepings or what you're calling bud, which I'd have to see to believe, but they're not competing. They're not going to get rid of the black market, and they're not going to keep it away from kids.
No, and the stuff that I'm referring to, it is actually bud. It's not milled or anything like that. It's not sweepings. It's full buds. I purchased it so I can see. But it's also high CBD. It's not high THC. It's high CBD.
Okay. There's.
I bought
Can I
some
ask,
from
keeping
PPS.
it away from children, what age children are we discussing here?
Well, apparently children are under 25 now.
Well, I think they're coming out with saying that they're going to be the same as alcohol, so it's going to sit around.
Yeah, I think John was predicting 21.
Yeah, I have heard 21. That was in the Iverson thing too. I think they were saying that. I think the task force is supposed to be recommending 21.
Yeah.
So everybody between 14 and 21 just keeps going to the guy at the corner.
Right. Yeah. And the guy at the corner is not going anywhere because it's going to be $10 a gram.
I think I finally, in listening to everybody else, I think I've come to a kind of a general consensus that just about every one of us have started around the age of 14, whether it's drinking or cannabis or smoking cigarettes or any of those things, right?
I started.
And I don't know about everybody's age, but Ross, you and I, when we were about 14, I think the age of consent for sex was about 14.
I think it was, in fact, yes.
Wait a sec. There was an age of consent? I had no idea.
Yeah, no, I think Lori's right. I'm pretty sure it was around that,
Yeah.
So you could get pregnant, you could have sex, you could even drink with your parents' consent, and you could do all kinds of things. And it was only normal for people of that age to want to be adventurous and experiment and do new things, whatever it was.
And in
cannabis just was part of that.
And in 2016, it's illegal. In 2016, it's illegal to leave your kids home 12 and under. You have to be home now after school.
Didn't they try to change it to 15 and under or something like that?
No, they've made it 12. I believe
12.
Yeah, I believe it's 12.
Okay.
Oh my God. Yeah. When we were 12, we got certificates that allowed us to watch other people's children.
Lori, when I was 5 years old, I was walking to school. You know, that's what we did back then.
I walked to school.
I was walking to school. You know, when I was very young, we used to walk a fair ways to school every day, and
yeah, me too.
And we
Mine was a
walked back.
20-minute walk.
Yeah, and then we walked back, and when we got home, Mom was there.
Yep.
You know.
The 60s and the 70s was a very different time, and then
It was.
the 80s happened.
It was, and then the 80s. That's
the haircuts. Oh,
Don't talk to me. Don't get me started, Kim.
Something in the water.
And the padded shoulders. Oh my God.
Hey, Kim, who was the math teacher? Who was the math?
High-rise jeans.
Yeah.
Kim, who was the math teacher at Castle that used to smoke weed underneath the parking lot? I can't remember his name.
That would be me.
I can't remember his name.
I got a question for you guys because I've been thinking about this. With this new task force, and they come out with this legalization, if they say that the recreational market's only going to be supplied by the licensed producers, how long do you think it's going to be before the recreational users start coming to the medical patients to buy quality?
Yesterday.
Let me see. We got a meeting with the city in January. I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's been happening for a while.
Talking about wanting to grow.
Everybody just winds up becoming a patient in the end, right?
What's that, Al?
Yeah.
Talking about wanting to grow. In October also, that's when Shoppers Drug Mart actually made the application to the government to be distributed.
Yeah, how they did that when there's no process for that.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. There's no process, but they still, they put it right there in front of them here,
Yeah, I'm sure there was no money involved in that. There was no pay for play there, right?
So could a medical program then end up being where, or could the legalization program sort of run them sort of side by side, where a patient accesses a pharmacy for their end, and the recreational goes to the LPs, or would the LPs also take the medical route as well?
Oh, I think the way it stands right now, they're going to be doing both.
Yeah, recreational couldn't go to recreational probably couldn't go to a pharmacy, obviously.
No, all supply is going to be coming from licensed producers. They're just trying to figure out how they can take away the growing rights for patients.
And can I ask?
I don't think they can.
Can I ask a question, a valid question? Like, everybody's talking about these licensed producers and going to Shoppers or whatever drugstore you go to and getting their medical cannabis. Now, will a patient get a choice between strains, LPs, blah, 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 because it seems to me that that's not a very good option if you don't have a choice of strains and which LP, because let's face it, some LPs are doing better than others.
But it's going to be like the liquor store, right? They're all going to be, all their products are going to be on the shelf.
Are there? Are there?
Seriously? Because I've already been approached by pharmacists if this goes through, and what their plan is basically to run it at the same as a dispensary is now.
Exactly.
A tender will be there to assist patients in strain selection and have a variety of strains. And what they're hoping for is also to have topicals, suppositories.
Well, that's already started in the health food stores, right?
Right. And
so would they do this in the pharmacy, or like have a separate building next to the pharmacy, or separate?
It has to be
department
of the pharmacy.
So it'd be like a
down to this counter, please.
Yeah, it's all
down to
in
this counter.
Yeah.
Now, will they make us? Will they make us?
Different strains and everything. It'll be dispensary.
Yeah, but will they make us go around to the back door?
Model. Only they're going to be carrying all of the LP strains and every LP strain.
Yeah.
Every LP strain, and will we be walking up to the pharmacist booth there in front of everybody, like everybody else does, to pick up like their Advil or whatever, or will they be shoving us in a back room? You have to go back there.
It's very likely they'll have a back room because almost every pharmacy now has to have a consultation room.
Okay.
Sits doing nothing.
Yeah, that's basically empty unless a patient wants to go in. Now, I've seen The one at Walmart.
They
I've
have
actually
booths at
seen
the pharmacy that I
pharmacist
go
using
to.
that room with patients.
They have booths at the pharmacy just
The only time
attached
I've
to the
ever
thing.
seen the one used anywhere is ambulatory services. You know,
Yeah,
when you go in for walkers
at the hospital.
or
So
at the pharmacy.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes. Yeah,
Marcel, are they
the
going
same
for the
idea.
are they going for the recreational market out of the pharmacies too?
Ideally, they would like that.
Of course they would, but that won't happen. The
you know,
LPs
again,
won't let
you
it
know,
happen.
Why couldn't it?
Putting more manure on the pile. I'm sorry. You know,
I guess it really
the
wouldn't
cannabis,
matter, would
the community is not going to accept that. I don't think.
I don't know.
What was said about the medicinal from the Shoppers Drug Mart and the quote unquote recreational from the liquor store or wherever, separation like that may not be a bad thing as far as source and supply and stuff goes too, you know.
Yeah, well, you'd have other options. Right?
In October, there was a survey that came out that said that 36% of Canadians thought it was fine for it to be sold in standalone stores.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it may even be higher than that now.
29% believed drugstores, pharmacies that we're just talking about. And
I got to say, while Al's looking at his stats there, when we went to the Carmen Cup, the only nice place to pee was at Mark Emery's place across the street at Cannabis Culture. And when I was down in the city last time, I went down. I did not. I mean, I have my MMAR. I did not have a place to go. I had no dispensaries to go to. I had to go to Mark Emery's store, Cannabis Culture on Church Street, where I walked in there, and there was a lineup out the fucking door at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Nowhere to go.
And that's supply and demand. But in Toronto, he's open. I think he's got 4 stores in Toronto now.
Oh, more than that now. They just opened 5, I think. Just
well,
recently.
I know they opened one up in Brampton and one up in Scarborough as well. So I think there's 4. And then he'll keep going, though.
There you go. That's according to this survey. There's at least a third of the country that agrees, over a third of the country that agrees. With
well, I mean, for the to be able to just walk in and say, "Can I have a gram of that, a gram of that, and a gram of that?" I was okay with that. I was very comfortable with that. There was a lot of sketchy people in there, but it's the area that it's in. And I don't mean because it's the gay village. I just mean there's a lot of sketchy people in that area and around that area. And shut up, Ross. There, I heard you.
I'm sorry. I'm just reading the private messages. We need to move on to November.
Okay, November.
Okay. There was something here that is interesting too. In the same survey, 57% of the current regular marijuana users would abandon the way that they get their cannabis now, and they would buy it from a licensed store.
No, I wouldn't.
Where?
You know, something else that was in the John
Because a
Iveson.
licensed store is getting it from a licensed producer, and I don't want any of that crap.
Yeah.
You know, something else that was in the John Iveson article. I think I remember reading something about actual consumption places where you can go and consume it.
Yeah,
well, you can go in and jab yourself in the arm. You can go, walk into a safe injection site. Why should we not be able to walk into a lounge?
Well,
medicate?
These would be more akin to like a bar where you go and you drink.
Remember,
Toronto at one time, because of the lounges, they were going to regulate them.
They had signs up that went up early or something, didn't they, Al?
They weren't taught. These aren't consumption sites where you're allowed to vaporize or smoke, though. You can go there and you can eat or drink or do whatever.
There was a hospital or a government building, something like that had signs up prematurely for vaping areas. And I can't remember where it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the news as well. I tried it down.
No, but I'm talking about this Iveson article that in the National Post where he's talking about the task force recommendations, and in those recommendations apparently is a provision for consumption sites, but they said they were going to be like not for smoking or vaping. So I don't know how that works exactly.
Yeah, how do you consume? I guess you're eating or spreading it on your skin.
Well, it could be a restaurant where you're eating, infused foods, or you could be drinking infused drinks, or I don't know. I guess there's the
depository restaurant.
Yeah.
That's pretty limited, It's really a limited stream.
With private booths, but that for some reason have a security camera, and a direct feed to the internet.
Can I suggest an 85 in cocoa butter?
Yeah. and an assistant.
So where are we, Al?
I'm finished.
You're finished.
So we're up to date. We are where we are, right?
We are where we are.
And here we are.
Yeah.
We are waiting for the regs.
Done with the news end.
Weren't the regs leaked?
Well, that's what the Iverson thing was, the article in the
Correct.
National Post.
Okay, so
the leak. You were talking about the leak to the business people that made the stock market crash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we never even mentioned that was only for.
Oh,
yeah. That was we didn't even talk about that. Now we have, which is good.
Yep.
Yeah, but they were frozen. Okay, some of them were frozen like 5 times in one day because they prices were just skyrocketing.
Yep, and
in preparation for that press conference, what also happened that day? That was the day of the Vice article, right?
That's right. Yep. Yeah, the Vice.
That
came out
same day.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanna before we go any further, we got a lot of people here, and I want to make sure everybody's got their own page. So I want to make sure that everybody gets. Now, so I'm going to go through my list here, starting with Chris, because Chris will inform people about Debs as well. So, if you don't mind, Chris.
Thanks.
I think I caught him off and doing, playing with something or something.
No, I'm right here. What?
You're supposed to do.
Tell us about Mom and your court and stuff and all that. Yeah.
I'd be plugging Maritime Unite for medical marijuana. I mean, we just had the great the Christmas the Merry Christmas event, and getting ready to plan for the Valentine's Day event in February, and our AGM for the beginning of the year. Have our annual general meeting in January.
Cool. Thanks. Now you can fuck off, Chris. I'm just kidding, buddy. And what's the URL for the mom's website, bud?
It's just be mum.ca, mumm.ca.
Okay. Did you already say that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Good. So I'm glad I reminded you.
Fuck off. He shouldn't have told you anything.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, Chris. Now I feel bad. Great news today, Chris.
What's that?
It's great news today.
Yeah, Eddie Lepp getting out is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's actually a very big deal. I'm gonna I'll let. There's a few people that have gotten out this year, and I'm gonna try and get some of them on the show. Kim, tell us about your website.
Okay. I work for my nonprofit, NOSER, and Northern Ontario Cannabis Education and Resources up in the north. And I also have my Facebook site for Info with Kim. We talk about all things cannabis, advocating for North up here in Ontario.
Lori, you're next. Lori.
Oh, my turn. Hi. I guess the Medicinal Cannabis Patients Alliance of Canada, mcpacanada.org. I was just thinking that I'd like to, wish the MMAR Patients Lobby Group happy 6th anniversary. It's been 6 years since I was started up, and
Cool.
just a sort of a PS along the way. It occurred to me when we were talking earlier, and I was saying something to somebody the other day in all this conversation about dispensaries and raids and stuff. We can all thank the dispensary raid of May 2010 for my activism, because until the Montreal Compassion Club was shut down, that's what pissed me off and started me on this path. I don't know, some sort of sane distribution model is, I guess, all we can hope for now. And going forward, that there's going to be the true medicinal access available.
Well, I guess we'll find out on the 21st, eh?
It's not over yet.
No.
The battle will continue afterwards. Yeah, it's not done yet.
Marcel. Deb has already left, so although Chris covered everything for Deb anyways. So, Marcel, why don't you tell people what you're up to and where they can find you as well?
They find me either at cannabis.ca or at Mom. You know,
I just
Cannabis both keep me pretty freaking busy.
I also just want to remind Mom that we're waiting for a commercial.
Yeah, we'll get right on that.
I tried, Al. Sorry.
Let me just add that to the list.
In their spare time.
Yeah.
Another
Al.
slice of pie, huh?
Al is here from the Pace Radio Show. He is the host of the Pace Radio Show, and then he has several ladies like Kim and Deb, as well as Allison Murden, who join him randomly throughout the month. Is that about right, Al?
Yeah, they're on a rotation. Each of them has a week.
He rotates his co-hosts.
Sometimes three weeks through a month.
Yeah, sometimes 3.
Kim sometimes has 3, but Kim normally has 2 a month, and then the other ladies each have a show each month as well. And they grab advocates from around their area or from outside, and we usually have some very interesting conversations.
Yeah, I know. I have to listen to them every week.
Yes. Like I had never met our last guest, Matt Rash. Like he had
he was a very interesting guy. Yeah.
Yeah. We had never met, and he reached out to us, and a chance came up.
Cool.
And he jumped right in there.
Awesome.
Did a great job. Yeah.
Awesome. Marcel, or I should say Ross.
Yes, sir.
We're leaving the profiteer for last.
Yeah, well, obviously BMA Hydroponics is keeping me really busy. It's keeping all of us really busy. We have 5 people working at the store now, which is more than we've ever had. Things are looking extremely good for the new year. We're hoping to have our biggest year ever next year. You can find BMA Hydroponics online at bmahydroponics.com. I also want to talk a little bit about the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society, of which I am the executive secretary. We have not gone dormant. Contrary to popular belief, we are still involved in making things happen. Our mission has changed from one of lobbying the government to one of actually getting our rolling up our sleeves and making things happen and getting access to the ACMPR for patients. And we're trying to do this in a lot of creative ways. And one thing that we have on the slate for the first part of 2017 is to be opening our first bricks and mortar office, where we are going to be able to have people come in and consult with them about how to access the ACMPR, what strains are best for them, try to help them navigate through the paperwork. And we are currently in negotiations, and this is the first time I'm announcing this publicly. We're putting the final touches on an agreement with a doctor who's going to be coming to that office once a month to sign 10 patients a month to grow their own. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a start, and it's sort of groundbreaking, because
where there's one, there'll be more.
Where there's one, there'll be more. And once we start doing this, we're going to set a precedent, and we're going to be the competition for all of these shitty little clinics who have all banded together and decided that they don't want to sign for home growing. Well, guess what? Our doctor is just going to sign for home growing. Okay,
Perfect.
So how does that sound? Okay,
Wonderful.
There you go.
And that's where we are heading. We have some other projects on the go too that involve some potential production facilities, but I can't really get into a lot of detail on that right now. But hopefully by the spring of 2017, we're going to be up and running in some sort of production capacity as well. Legal everything legal.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Wow.
there you go.
There you go. And I'm Al Rapp. I am the original host of the 420 Radio Show and the owner of the station. If you folks need help finding any information, first of all, Google it. But if you can't find what you need, say hello. We'll talk about it on the show. Everybody here is volunteer. We don't make shit diddly squat other than from Ross when he buys us stuff.
We're not getting paid?
No, man. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Hey,
Were
I'm still the guy that's hoping to get rich.
Where you still haven't gotten your check, Chris?
He got his hoodie. Oh, and by the way, Al Graham, the last time you were in the store, your T-shirts were there, and I told them to tell you to get them. Your T-shirts are at the store, Al.
There you
and
go,
there's
Al.
There's one for everybody in your crew. Okay.
There you go.
Super. Oh, thank you.
Okay, so
Yeah,
make sure you
yeah.
got those. And what did the 420 Radio Show get for pay this year? We got a hoodie. Didn't we get a hoodie, guys?
Oh yeah, and
Isn't
they're
it a
fucking
nice
awesome.
hoodie?
And you know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna try and gonna try and put them up on the website for sale, so for donations, because I've gotten
They've been
maybe
asked
a dozen requests already. So
Everybody like mine, so.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's probably a direction we should all be going.
We'll
into
have to
jointly.
tweak them a little bit,
And it's
but
still comfy. I've been wearing it for a week.
Yeah, I can see mugs, with the Pace logo on them. I can see mugs with the 420 Radio Show
There's
logo.
already mugs.
And with coffee and cannabis with marijuana
Yep,
is a
there you go.
perfect fit for a coffee
there you
mug,
go.
right?
Yep, and another thing I wanted to mention is we do have other shows going now. For a while, we only had the 420 show, but on Wednesday mornings, you can catch Tamara Cartwright on her show, Coffee and Cannabis with Tamarijuana. And she has lighthearted guests on, as well as patients and other people, but from out west of Canada. She tries to keep her patients local. Then we have Al's show, Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, Pace Radio, with Kim and the other ladies. And then us on Friday, and we've got a couple of other shows that are coming to light sometime in the new year that we'll talk about later on down the road.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Grow.
Grow. Yep.
More ways than one.
There you go. Yep. We are the 420 Radio Show out of Ontario, Canada, not the U.S. Sorry.
It's been a great year.
It's been a great year,
guys.
Yep.
And next year is going to be even better.
I hope so.
No
I hope
matter
so.
what
I love you guys, man.
I love you, man.
I hope.
Yeah.
Peace, love, and hippie
Yeah,
shit.
peace,
What can
love,
I
and
say?
hippie shit. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you guys do to help us here at the 420 Radio Show and Lifestyle Radio. We will be back next week with our final show of the year. I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it. Yeah. We're going to do
Have a
it.
good one, guys.
Later.
Okay, thank you, everybody. It's been great being together with everybody, and hopefully we can do this again, maybe on when they make the task force announcement.
Sure.
Just, just spur of the moment kind of thing.
Thank you for joining us, Al and Kim, and we are out of here.
Night.
Night, everybody.
Night, y'all.
Night. Bye.
Good night, John boy.
Bye.
You like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the cheese will grow. Smoke a bowl on the 420 Radio Show. On Lifestyle Radio.
So what are you doing? Nothing. Why